profile about me. And second thing, actually today's session is about introduction to child-centered disaster risk reduction, not about school safety. That will be touched by Dr. Kumar Raka, I think, tomorrow. So I was having some other program tomorrow, so my session is preponed today. And since I have a poor connectivity here, so I am unable to show the video. So only my audio will be available to all of you. Is my PPT is now visible to everyone?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me start with the session. I request all of you to keep listening because I'll be asking a question to the participants between at any time. So I also require answer from you. So I kindly request all of you keep listening. I'll be asking question whenever you can answer it. You can continue. So let me start with the session now. This is the most important session because the title of the training itself, child-centric disaster risk reduction, right? So for most of people, this child-centric disaster risk reduction concept may be new. Even you may not heard. Many times you may heard about community-based disaster risk reduction or community-based disaster risk management. You may heard it. This is the new concept which is being evolved by an IDM and it's a brainchild of Professor Santosh Kumar sir, and he promoted the CCDRR Center. Right. So this is the most important session. You will be learning about what actually a child-centric disaster risk reduction means. Okay. Yeah. So let me start with the thing. And just to give a big background about this, during 2001 to 15, almost 36.2% of the child standing was observed and 26% of the child was visited. This has been found from Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh because there was a 10 major droughts during those 15 years. It's happening almost in all the drought-prone area like even Karnataka, even West Bengal, part of West Bengal is also drought-prone area, even Odisha. But this research has found that about 36% of the children were stranded and 26% of the children were wasted. What is meant by child standing? The child standing is being measured based on the height for weight. Sorry, age for height for age. Height for age. Child standing is height for age. If the child is not having enough height for according to age, then it is standard. Similarly, child wasting means weight for age. It is being calculated by weight for age. So as per the way age, if the child is not having enough weight, then it is child wasting. You see in Anganwadi center, when a child borns every month or every 2 months, they used to measure the weight of a child, right? So here what happened because of this major 10 droughts, it impacted on child's growth. That's what we need to understand. So any disaster, it may affect the growth of a child. Even COVID-19 now you can refer. Due to this COVID-19, many people have lost their employment, many people have lost their income. So what's happened? They were unable to feed their children. So when there is a shift in consumption or change in pattern, so normally or naturally there is a child standing and child wasting. Okay. And second, many times the children are not being involved in the disaster risk management. So now always what we are telling that the children are vulnerable. Children are most vulnerable. They can't do anything. They are children. So it is not like that. The children. So we are trying to protect the children, but at the same time, we also need to involve the children, but which we are not doing as of now. And the children voices are also not had in disaster risk management activities. I could remember that like past 10 years before, I was doing a participatory rural appraisal to prepare a risk mapping or disaster risk management planning of the coastal area. So at the time when we gather people, naturally when we try to do this participatory rural appraisal or conduct any meeting in a rural area, we used to invite only people like elder people, SNG women, and village leaders. but we are not considering about the children. So, but when there is a crowd, naturally the children used to come. But what the organizers used to do, children always play, they'll enjoy, they will make some disturbances. So the same I have also done. I was seeing them, the children I see they are disturbing my meeting. So just I have sent them. So this is what naturally happening in the field right now. The children voices are not had in the disaster risk management activities. And after disaster, the children are further harmed and abused and exploited after the disaster. Recently, what happened during this COVID-19 lockdown, one person who was having a tea shop, he was not having enough income. He was forced to close the tea shop because of lockdown. So he was trying to do a farming, but for that also he do not have money. So what he has done, he used two of his young girl children, for blowing the land. Instead of bullock, he used two girl children for blowing the land. So this is an example. After disaster, the children may be further harmed or abused. So overall, if you see, at the time of disaster or after disaster, the children were being affected and their growth is being affected. That's what we need to understand. Okay. Now let's see why we have to involve children in disaster risk reduction activities. First thing, as per UNCRC, anyone knows what is UNCRC? Anybody? Any participant? UNCRC. Anybody had? Okay, let me
Sir, I
explain.
can see.
Yeah, please tell me, ma'am. Yeah, what is UNCRC?
So, United Nations Child Rights Center.
United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Yeah, very good. Absolutely. Are you a student or working?
Good morning, sir. Sir, I'm a student from Sociology Department only from the Asansol
Yeah,
Girls College.
great. I was expecting sociology students should know this. Very good. Yeah.
Thank
So
you, sir.
UNCRC, yeah. UNCRC is United Nations Convention on Rights of the Children. So as per UNCRC, each and every children has a right to participate. All the children have a right to participation. So the children has right to participation in any activities, right? So now you can take example COVID-19. We are protecting the children from COVID-19, but are we involving children in this disaster risk management activity or COVID-19 containment activities? No. And second, the children are able to convey message with meaningful and effectively. These are the strength of children. Mothers or teachers may know that when a child comes back from the school, the whole day after being the school, evening after coming back to home, they used to start tell everything to their mother or father. So the children used to tell, my friend has beaten me, I have fell down there, I missed my pencil, teacher has beaten me, I have not completed my homework. Like they started to speak everything, they started to communicate everything to their mother. Sometimes the parents used to tell, अरे बाबा बस 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 अब मेरा ज़्यादा काम है आप बंद करो. We used to tell, please enough, I have work I have to do, please you go on your own. So the children has capacity to communicate the things effectively, and the children are also more willing to learn and develop a culture of adaptation. Here now you know that in the home nowadays everyone is like with a smartphone. If you are not knowing anything, to whom we will ask? To whom we will ask? We will ask only children, because they know each and everything, they know how to operate that smartphone. All those elder people used to, even sometime mother used to ask how to use this option, how to unlock this mobile. So the children are willing to learn and develop a culture of adaptation. Okay, even I just I would like to give one example to use. Okay, that may not be relevant here. I'll give some time. The children also have often immense creativity, the power of creativity. The children has a skill of creativity. I have seen in one of the government school there was no toilet facility at all. There was no toilet facility at all. So what those children has done, by using the 25 liters of water can and bamboo stick, they have made their own toilet facility in their school. Now also you can see most of the government school, there is no toilet facilities and they used to go for an open place. They are using the open space. So what those government school children have done by using the available resources, they came up with their own toilet facility by using the bamboo sticks and water cans. And similarly, I have found this seed balls. Seed balls. Anybody, can you tell me what is seed balls? If you had any student, what is seed balls? Can you tell me? Any participants? Seed balls. Or if you have done any creativity related to disaster management or climate change or environmental, you can share. Any creativity done by you? Or if anyone knows what is seed balls, please respond me. Any idea? Even teachers also, if there, you can say, if your student has done any creativity, which you have seen, that also you can share it. Okay, seed ball is nothing but by using mud and cow dung, making a ball, and you can insert anyone's seeds. And at the time of rainy season, you can throw it to the open land. So when it rains, that seeds will come as a plants and the tree will be growing. Okay, so this is one of the initiative done by children. It's a creativity, it's something new. So the children has their immense creativity skill, which also can be used for disaster risk management. The children are able to participate beyond a disaster preparedness role. That also we need to understand. So if any disaster comes, the children can protect themselves and they also can participate beyond preparing themselves. Now during this lockdown period, many children, they have donated their savings for the poor people. Even many children, they have used their savings to buy a mask and they have given to the vulnerable people. The migrant people who were walking on the road, the children have provided food to them by using their savings. So we need to understand the children are also able to participate beyond the disaster preparedness role. Okay, now let's discuss sometime. This may be a new concept, even though just I would like to ask you, what do you think about, what do you mean by child-centered disaster risk reduction? Anyone can say. It may be right or wrong. It is like asking a blind person how a elephant looks like. Asking a blind person how an elephant looks like. So now I would like to know, what do you mean by child-centric disaster risk reduction according to you? Whatever comes to the top of the mind, just you can share with me.
So may I try?
Please.
Sir, it basically, as far as I know, it basically implies that if a child is aware of a disaster, like what happens during a disaster, what will happen after a disaster, you make the child prepared for it. So actually, when the disaster happens, the child does not go into a shock and he knows how to go about it. And he can like cooperate with the elders to go in a sensitive way, in sensible way with it. Like we have our fire exit in schools. Why do we have fire exit in schools? We have it because we give them the fire drills so that if there is an emergency, the children know exactly how to protect themselves during that time.
Okay, very good. You are right. So simply you can say creating awareness of the children. Right? Okay. Mostly your answer is most probably it's relative answer. It's good. Anybody else? I want to listen from one more person. What do you think about child center? Yeah, please.
Hello. Protecting child in a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Protecting children from disaster. Very good. Yeah. Anybody else? Last one person. The first person was saying protecting
Sir,
children.
can I try?
Yeah, please.
Sir, educating or informing the children about the disaster, that they can protect themselves and they can also help in managing the same.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so everyone is aware about what is child-centered disaster risk reduction.
Can
It's
I
good.
try also?
Yeah, please, please, most welcome.
Uh, it actually, according to me, it means that it uses or signifies, identifies, anything you can say, to assess or to kindly incorporate to reduce the reductions of the loss of lives of the children.
Yeah, exactly. So reducing the risk of children at the time of disaster, of course, right. Good answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, I have four response. All are right. So let me give a brief little bit about what is child-centered disaster risk reduction. There are 3 points which you need to remember here. The first one is focusing on specific risk faced by the children and protecting them from those risks on specific risk faced by children. Let me give some example. Now, suppose we want to cross the road. So the elder people, what we used to do, we used to see both sides. If the vehicles are not coming, then we will cross the road. But the children are not like that. What they used to do, suddenly they will just cross the road. Sometimes if bike comes or car comes, they will hit. So these are all some of the specific risks faced by the children. And similarly, at the time of disaster, like the children, suppose there is a flood in West Bengal, there may be many children who do not know swimming. So how they will protect themselves? It's a risk for the children, right? And similarly, at the time of disaster, we are keeping all the children and people in the shelter home. When the cyclone comes, the road might be blocked, village might be blocked with completely water, so they may not even access to get the milk. So these are some of the risks and issues faced by the children. So we need to focus on specific risk faced by the children and try to solve those issues. Okay, this is one. And second point, involving children in disaster risk reduction efforts, involving children in disaster risk reduction efforts. For example, now we are all suffering with COVID-19 pandemic, right? We are telling children to not go outside. Even in government, every time whenever they are releasing the guidelines, it is mentioned the children below 10 years should not step out of the home, right? So we are telling the children to protect them, but what happens, are we involving children in those disaster risk reduction efforts? No, right? Only the elder people who are there, they are only involved in blocking the containment zone or creating awareness. In all those aspects we are involving only elder people, but we are not involving children in disaster risk reduction efforts. I'll give an example how we can involve the children in disaster risk reduction. Later, I'll tell you. And the third point is child-centric disaster risk reduction is disaster risk reduction for the children and with the children. For the children and with the children. Okay, so it is like democracy. Definition of democracy: for the people, by the people, of the people. So democracy is for the people, by the people, of the people. Similarly, child-centric disaster risk reduction is also for the children and with the children. For risk reduction of the children, the children themselves should do the risk reduction activities. For example, if you are wearing a mask to a child, it is one activity. Similarly, if the child knows before go outside, I have to wear mask. The children themselves wearing mask. It is child-centric disaster risk reduction. For reducing their risk, they are wearing mask. So reducing the children's risk, they are doing activities by themselves. Okay, so child-centric disaster risk reduction means there are 3 activities which we need to understand. Okay, so one is focusing on specific risk faced by the children and try to address that. And second, involve children in disaster risk reduction efforts. So now during COVID-19 pandemic, We are trying to reduce the risk of everyone. So government is creating awareness for wearing mask, maintaining social distance, and making a containment zone. But how we can involve children here? So we can use children to create awareness among the society. How we can wash hands. I've seen one of your 10-year-old boy who knows how to wash the hands properly with sanitizer. There is a 10-step told by WHO and UNICEF how to wash the hand properly by using 10 steps method. So we can use children for creating awareness among the society, even how to wear a mask, how to handle the mask. These are the children knows better than all of us. So we can use those children for this activity. So when we are involving children in disaster risk reduction efforts, that is a child-centered disaster risk reduction. Even I have involved my children during lockdown for disaster risk reduction. That is what I have done. One of the government non-governmental agency and the television channel joined together and they have conducted a competition for creating awareness on this COVID-19. The children can tell some story or they can create awareness, and the video should be recorded and posted to their blog. So I have also involved my children. My child was telling one story how this can affect the COVID-19, what are the do's and don'ts, and that was sent to them. This is one of the example to involve the children. Okay, so involving children in disaster risk reduction effort is also a CCDRR. And the third point, as I said, child-centric risk reduction for the children and with the children. Okay, I hope now everyone has understood what is actually a child-centric disaster risk reduction means. Okay, so at the end of the session, I will be asking questions about this. Please keep listening. Okay, so the student also and the teacher also knows that what they know, even if you know the answer, if you're writing the answer rightly, when the teacher used to give full marks, if you are writing a definition of any particular answer, then only you will get a full mark. So similarly here also, let us see, we have already discussed what is child-centric disaster risk reduction, but let's see the definition of child-centric disaster risk reduction. Children and adolescents must not be viewed as merely victims, but as effective actors. We always used to say children are powerless and they are most vulnerable. It is not right. The children and adolescents must not be perceived as merely victim. They are also an effective actor. That we need to first understand. Of course, when a disaster comes, they are victims. They are being affected. They're being impacted, but they are also effective actors. During this COVID-19 pandemic, children are also infected. I agree with you, but at the same time, many children, even they have done a voluntary activity. They have acted effectively for the containment of this COVID-19. I've seen in many villages, the children have distributed masks free of cost to the vulnerable people, poor people. And the children are also have given some homeopathy tablet they have supplied to poor people. They have done a lot of voluntary services to the society. So the children should not be merely perceived as a victim, and they also should be seen as effective actors. That we need to keep it in our mind, first point. And second, by taking into account their level of physical, social, and emotional development, assessing their capacity, we need to promote their spaces and mechanism for their full participation. This is a little bit lengthy, but I will explain to you with some example. See, the life cycle of a child can be divided into 5 phases. Okay, anyone can you say who is child? We are not having a child rights session. I think so it's better to discuss now. Who is
Sir,
child?
according to
Yeah,
Sir,
please tell me. Yeah, please.
according anyone below the age of 18 is a children or a child.
Below the age 18?
Absolutely right. And which
Yes,
age it
sir,
starts?
absolutely.
Below
Below
18
the age
is
of
okay. It
18,
starts
they are
from 1 or 2 or what? It starts from what? Which
From
below 18? 1 or 2 or 3?
so right
Sir,
from the
the
birth.
birth they are taken birth.
There is lot of disturbances. Please, all of you kindly mute. The person who is speaking, you can unmute and again mute yourself. Yeah, please continue.
Yes, sir. Actually, the time from which child is taken birth, from that time can we say
Not exactly. Okay. Anybody else? Of course, below 18 is right. Below 18 is right. I agree with you. But not from the childbirth. Anybody?
So
after
from
the age
age
of 1 year?
Not exactly. Anybody else?
So guessing of the students have been started.
Old years old.
Yeah, all whatever options we will be giving them, so all options will be coming one after another. So
Okay.
that is how you do optional things. But let them, let you tell them.
Okay, sir. Okay. So it starts from the pregnancy stage, prenatal stage. The child rights of the children, it's from the prenatal stage. The child warm, the children in the warm. From that stage up to below
It's from
18.
3 to 4.
No, we can divide children's life phase into different phases, but the child right starts from the prenatal stage. When a woman get conceived, when a child is in the womb, right? From that
Oh,
stage to below 18 years old. Okay. So if you see, so the children is between from the prenatal to below 18 years old. So here we can divide them into different, like 0 to 2 is infant, and 3 to 5 can be early childhood, and 6 to 12 can be childhood, and 13 to 18 years is adolescence. So if you see their capacity from the different stage, if you see their capacity, their emotional or mental or physical development, it varies. So by assessing physical, emotional capacity, we need to promote their spaces and mechanism for their full participation. For example, a 3 to 5 years old children, take an example, 5 years old children. So he can communicate the message very effectively. Suppose you think of there is a fire in one place. If you ask elder people or older people, they may hesitate to run. But at the same time, if you tell a boy to go and communicate this message, take their own bike, like they'll go and immediately there is a fire in this place, please come and help. So this is their capacity, right? Similarly, if you see 18 16 to children, if you develop them if you train them properly, they can be involved in a rescue. They can be involved in providing first aid. They can give a technical support to rescue the people. They can set up a help desk, and they can provide the information to the. Suppose there is a flight crash at the Kozhikode, right, in Kerala. So they can set up a help desk and they can communicate to the people, relatives, who are the people who have died or who are casualties, what is the casualty, what are the status. So like this is an example. So by seeing the physical, mental and emotional capacity of the children, we need to promote a spaces and mechanism for full participation of the children. Now you can take a COVID-19 situation. How you can use these children, how you can promote the space for the children to involve in this COVID-19 containment activity or risk reduction activity. Of course, as I said, this 3 to 5 years old children can be effectively used to create awareness on how to wash the hand properly, even how to wear mask, how to handle the mask. Once you train them, they can create awareness among the society. I have literally seen in some places they have even now I couldn't to wash the hand properly, but the boy who learned from the school, he was doing all those 10 steps and washing the hand properly. Okay, and the second, like these 16 years, 17 years old children, they can also be involved in using the risk of the children during COVID-19. If there is a containment zone, okay, they can help the people, they can help the people for buying necessary items. Suppose the family needs a grocery item. Everyone is not allowed to go outside. So we can form a village level committee or street level committee. The youngsters can help those families. So these are all an example. So let me complete this definition. So the children should not be merely perceived as a team, and they are also effectively actors. I've given a lot of example for this. And by taking into account their level of physical, social, and emotional development and assessing their capacity, we need to promote a mechanism for their full participation. So we need to provide a space, unless the children will not come voluntarily. Because always we used to stop the children. You are a child, don't go outside. It is not like that. We have to promote a space. I've given an example. I have involved my child. When we were supplying a free homeopathic medicine, there is some traditional medicine. I have involved my child. I have taken my child with me. So these are the example. So we have to create a mechanism to ensure the participation of the child. Okay. Let us see what is the goals of child-centric disaster risk reduction. So this is one is strengthening the accountability mechanism between right holder and duty bearer by providing the information flow. So let us understand who is right holder and who is duty bearer. All child below 18 years old, a pregnant woman, and parents, in case of absence of parents, guardian, they all are right holders. So whatever the rights which is being given in United Nations Convention on Rights of the Children, these all three people are right holders. Right? Children, parents, and guardians. Okay, who are all duty bearer? All the land departments who are all working for the welfare of the child, non-governmental organizations, state government, central government, international organizations, they all are duty bearers. Okay, so here the goal of CCDRR is strengthening the accountability mechanism between these both stakeholders. So how we can do that? One is by creating awareness among the right holders. Children, parents, and guardians should realize what are the rights which I'm having, what are the rights my child has. And other side, duty bearers, they also should understand what are my duties to fulfill those children. When these duty bearers also understand the rights of the child, then only they also can fulfill the rights of child. So one is creating awareness, and another side making the duty bearers to realize their duties and their responsibilities, so that we can safeguard the children's rights at the time of disaster or in climate change. When a child or the parent or a guardian understands right at the time of disaster, if they were not able to get their rights, they can raise their voice. They can raise their voice. They can ask to the government, this is my right, provide. For example, in right to education. Education is a right of a child. Education is a right of a child. But during this lockdown, almost 4 or 5 months, the schools were closed. It is their rights. That's why duty bearer, government, education department, they are providing all education. Even for government school children, they are telecasting all the content through television. If child doesn't get education, they can raise for their voice, so that the duty bearer can try to solve or fulfill their rights. So the goal of child disaster risk reduction is strengthening the accountability mechanism between right holder and duty bearer to safeguard the children's rights. Let us see what are the benefits of child-centric disaster risk reduction. It is an enabling environment for children to actively involve in DRR. When we do this CCDRR, then only we can enable the children. It's an enabling environment for children to be actively involved. Okay, so if there is no such environment, they may not be able to be actively involved. It provides an avenue for children to utilize their attitude, skill, and knowledge for creation of a safe and resilient environment. Suppose you are making a school safety plan, a school disaster management plan. Even it is applied for a college and institutions also. So if the teachers are preparing that, you can use skill and knowledge. How the student has better knowledge than the teacher, how we evaluate themselves or how they can escape from the school without the knowledge of teachers. So they know all the short routes. That knowledge can be used. And at the time of preparing the school safety plan, you need to draw a map, evacuation map. You can, many students having skill of drawing, you can use their skills. And the children knows, the school children, they knows who are all weaker, who are all vulnerable among their class. The teacher may not know. By seeing the body structure, the teacher may that he is a strong man. But the student and the friends, they know he is weak or who. So the attitude, skill, and knowledge also can be used effectively to create a resilient environment. And it also allows them to raise their voice to protect the basic rights. So this child-centered disaster risk reduction allows the children to raise their voice to protect the basic rights. For example, during COVID-19, there is some containment zone. They were not able to access the milk. They were not access to go to even hospital. Right to health, right to get health, quality of healthcare service also a right of the children. So they can ask for their rights. And it also creates an opportunity to undertake roles to participate in the community development work. So apart from all this, the children also has roles to participate in the community development work. If they are involved in CCDRR activity or disaster risk management activities, it's also a part of community development. Suppose a child plants a trees, plants a saplings. It also helps for climate change adaptation. It also a community development work. Suppose a child donates his savings for the migrant people to provide food for migrant people. It is also a community development work. Okay, and let us see some of the valuable approach to the child-centric disaster risk reduction. This child-centric disaster valuable approach, the organization which has limited resources or the organization do not have any resources also can work for child-centric disaster risk reduction. It is simple. An NGO is doing some activity for protection of women. When you are creating child rights, it is also child-centered disaster risk reduction. You don't need any extra resources. You don't need any additional resources for this. So just simply creating awareness among the parents is also a CCDRR, right? Similarly, students also can see child-centered disaster risk reduction. You are walking on the road, you are seeing one orphan child, street child, immediately call 1098, inform them. It is a child-centered disaster risk reduction. You are reducing the risk of the child. If you are not informing the child helpline, if you are not protecting the child may be trafficked, kidnapped, or abused. So just calling and telling those information also a CCDRR. So no need of any additional resources for doing child-centric disaster risk reduction. Okay, so reducing the vulnerability can maximize the impact of their intervention. Like as I given previously, I given that if you are promoting a self-help group, women self-help group in one village, right? If you are promoting a self-help group in one village, you try to reduce their vulnerability by risk coverage, by providing insurance. This also maximize the impact on the small intervention when they are suffered. That risk coverage will help those families. Okay, and the children also have a unique and holistic perception of risk. Suppose there is 100 people in one hall, they are sitting in a conference. Snake enters. What we all used to do, everyone used to run away from there. Immediately there will be a lot of confusions or problems with that. But if you 2 years old child or 1 year old child see a snake, they will naturally try to catch it because they do not have a worry about those risks. They may not aware of this risk. The child has unique and holistic perception of risk. And apart from that, the children also have a regularly identified immediate risk which also need to be addressed. For example, I said, suppose there is a transformer in the, we should not touch it. Or electric pole, we know we should not touch it. But the children naturally playing, they used to go and touch it. It's all regularly identified immediate risk to the child. Like this, I have seen in many schools, there is no water tap in many government schools. So what they used to do, they provide only 40-minute time for a child to have a lunch break. So after having lunch, they used to run to the nearby water bodies. Even in West Bengal also, I have seen each and every household, at least most of the houses are having a small water body behind their house, and even nearby schools also. So after having a lunch, the children used to go to those small pond and wash their plates. Even they may fall down inside. It's an immediate or regularly identified risk. And in many schools, they are having 1 or 2 water taps with 800, 900 children. So the plates or the boxes which they use, the children bring for a lunch, it's a very sharp like a knife. So within that short time, they have to complete their lunch and they have to wash their plates. So what they used to do, they used to compete themselves to wash their plates. So many children have cut down their fingers, I have seen. So these are all some of the regularly identified immediate risks among the children which we need to identify and resolve. Okay, let me ask another question. Hope all the participants are keep listening me. Now I'm showing a picture. The right side there is one white girl. Anyone can say who is she? If you know anything about her, whatever you know about her, you can tell. Anybody? All of you listening, watching the slides? Any participants?
Thurman.
Pardon? Can you repeat?
Climate change. Yes, sir. She speaks on climate change. She represents the climate change.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, she is a climate change activist, right? Any other information about her?
Sir?
Any other information about her, if you know, you can share, or other participants also can share. Of course, one point is right. She is a climate change activist.
Her name is Emma Thurman, sir.
No. Sorry, can you repeat?
Hello?
Yeah, please. Tell me. You are audible. If you know anything about her, any participants, you can say. If you heard about her.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So she is Greta Thunberg. She's a climate activist.
Yeah, right. So you have given 2 information. So her name is also absolutely right, and she's a climate change activist. And she has started a campaign on Friday for Future. It's called 3F, Friday for Future. Right? She's a Swedish girl. Every Friday she started strike on school and she conducted a protest in front of the parliament. Okay. So to protect the children from climate change impact. So after seeing her initiative, children from various countries also has joined in her campaign. Now India also has a branch of her trust. So why I'm saying here is the children can influence and they mobilize for action. They have a capacity to mobilize for action, right? And similarly, the second picture sees Nadia, 7th standard she is studying. When she was sitting in a school, behind there was a pond and there was a bad smell, so she was unable to sit in the classroom. And she finds that there was a lot of bushes in the pond. Because of that, the smell comes. And she asked her father to clean it, but father doesn't do that. So the father has observed that past 6-8 months he did not speak to him. So one day the father asked, "Why you are not speaking with me?" Then the child said, "Myself and my friends were unable to sit in the classroom and we are not able to concentrate on the class because of the bushes in the pond." So, if you clear, see again, requested her father to clean it. So the father has done alone. Father has alone cleaned that bushes in the pond. This news came in BBC news channel also. So one is a local level example and another one is international level example where a child can influence the behavior and mobilize for a social action. Similarly, during this lockdown period, one boy who has wrote a letter to the President of India, and he said that my village is being suffered every year due to these waves in the sea, heavy waves in the sea, and the water comes into the village. And during this lockdown, also all the villages were suffering because of no income and unemployment situation. And after that, the government has done some intervention in those villages to help the people. So these are all the examples for the children can mobilize for the action. Okay, I'll give some of the example for child centered production initiative. Uh, During cyclone Fani, this will help you to understand what is actually child-centered disaster risk reduction. During cyclone Fani, the government of Odisha has came up with a lot of initiatives of child-centered disaster risk reduction. Almost more than 2,000 children, underweight and severe acute malnourished children and pregnant women were provided with a take-home price in advance, as they know the cyclone is going to land. So in advance, they have provided take-home price. Similarly, during this lockdown period also, many state government has provided take-home price to the Anganwadi children, because we cannot call the children to Anganwadi center. It will be risky for them. There is a high chance of infection. So many of the state governments came up with the initiative of providing take-home price to the children. So I'm not aware of this West Bengal government. Hope West Bengal also done this, I think, because most of the state government has came up with this initiative, and special care was taken to shift the old age people, different people, women and children to the shelters much before cyclone approached. So before cyclone landfall, we have given a priority to child. That's what we have to understand. Of course, we are shifting everyone to the shelter home to safeguard. That is normally a child disaster risk management. But what is child-centered disaster risk reduction? Giving priority to the children. Special focus on children to shift them. And about more than 1,945 numbers of pregnant women were shifted to delivery points. Why? If the cyclone landfall, there may be a heavy rain and the roads might be blocked, there may be a lot of tree falls, so they may not be able to access the healthcare services. So by identifying the risk, advancedly they have shifted all the pregnant women to the delivery points to ensure the institutional delivery and to ensure the rights of the child. Okay, and the food were supplied to the all child care institutions and the food availability during the cyclone, because once cyclone comes, we cannot know how many days it will take to resume to come to the normal situation. So they have ensured the food supply to all the child care institutions. And similarly, the Odisha government also waived the school fees and school examination fees up to high school level in the government school. They have waived the fees, and 2 extra pairs of uniform were provided to the extremely affected area, and 1 extra pair of uniform was provided to the severely affected area to the children. Even there are many cases, if the children doesn't have a uniform, they may not go to school. It may lead to a dropout. So they have provided extra pairs of uniform to the affected children. These are an example for child-centered disaster risk reduction. And apart from, there are some other initiatives, and they have also ensured safety and prior inspection to all the Anganwadi centers and check the food stocks and essential items were carried. I have seen in many schools and Anganwadi centers in Tripura, because they also suffer with the flood frequently, and they do not have a safer place to keep the rices and dal. So after flood, if everything is wasted and they were not able to feed the children. So Odisha government also similarly, they have visited all the Anganwadi centers, they have done an inspection and they have ensured the food items are safely kept and stocks are available so that the children will not suffer with without nutrition food. And the instructions were also given to the Women and Child Welfare Department to ensure the safety of all children and pregnant women. And prior to the cyclone, 36 children with severe acute malnutrition were admitted to the nutritional centers, and referrals and 28 follow-ups were also there. Because in the previously, the first line itself I told, when there is a drought, the children were child wasted and stunted. It's also led to lack of nutrition. So to ensure the nutritional food to the children, they have ensured. And the nutrition council are also instructed to not discharge even after immediately the cyclone. Because the house may be, the parents may not be in a
হ্যাঁ
normal
বলছি
situation.
জানি না কেন ওখানে রিং হচ্ছে না তোমার কাছে আর আমি বাইরে এসে কথা বলছি
Ma'am,
আচ্ছা
your
বলছি কি
speaking is
শোন
bad.
অ্যাডমিশনের তো তুমি তো অনেক বছর ধরে এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আমাকে একটু সাজেস্ট করো যে
You are talking in Bengali. I'm sorry, I cannot talk.
unmute yourself and then talk.
Don't speak in the midway. Question answer session in the last. Don't speak.
Let me announce one thing for the Dr. Babu.
Let him complete, then ask question in the last.
I'll take 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. I will take.
No, Dr. Balu, I'm telling you, stay tuned. Let me announce something very important that is very, very important.
Please.
The first thing I would request the host, he's meeting me only. Okay, the first thing I'll request host. Please keep muting all the participants because whatever the voice and quality of voice that the participant is talking about, it's only because there are many participants still unmuted. So the
Sir, you are muted.
So that what I can see. The first thing, please, if you want a clarity of voice at your end, please mute yourself. It doesn't matter if you are a faculty, if you are an organizer, if you are the vice principal of the college, or you are just a student. Please mute yourself. Otherwise, just all the participants will be getting a very low quality of voice on this platform. Let me tell you. And host, please, I am requesting you once again that please keep muting everyone after 1 minute or 45 seconds or 30 seconds or whenever you are getting a problem into the quality of the voice. Otherwise, we can see now, we are seeing here that all the participants are getting disturbed as well as the speaker is also getting disturbed. Okay, so you can see the disturbance is here. So first thing is that host and all the participants, it's a sincere request, please mute yourself, otherwise clarity of voice will not reach you. Whatever is the platform, how much better internet connection we are having, then you will all have problems listening.
Dr. Raka, it's a host. Muting all is
Yes.
for the 3 to 4 seconds. So it will disturb the flow of the Dr. Balu. That's why muting all is not the solution.
No. That's you made Dr. Balu a presenter. So if you are muting all, the presenter will not be muted.
It's already presented, sir.
That is what I am telling you. If you mute all, the presenter will not be muted. He'll be speaking. The presenter will not be muted if you have the button of mute all. Once the presenter right is given to someone, anyone, either it's Dr. Balu, Dr. Pankaj or anyone else. So when you will be muting everyone, the presenter is not included into that, and that will not mute the presenter. So please do that and you will see it. And Dr. Balu, you are having next more 5 minutes. Try to conclude within the time frame. And it's a wonderful lecture going on. I can see that. And because we have to take a lot of questions, there are a lot of intelligent students here. So we would like to take a lot of questions as well. So Dr.
Yeah.
Continue with that.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll complete in just 5 minutes. So finally, there is no one particular way of working on child-centric disaster risk reduction. As I said, there are 3 components. CCDRR is focusing on specific risk faced by the children, involving children in DRR, and DRR for the children and with the children. Each agency have their own personal, their own activities, and their own definition for doing this child-centric disaster risk reduction. So, like for example, save the children. They want to involve children in disaster risk reduction. UNICEF, they want to protect children from the disaster. But what government of India is doing? The government of India's approach is a multifaceted approach involving children in disaster risk management activities and protecting children from disaster risk management and creating awareness among the children about disaster risk management. So it is a multifaceted approach what we are doing. Okay, and when we understand the breadth and depth of vulnerabilities of children, then only we can address. For example, 18 years or 17-year-olds girl child, 17 years old girl child may, 17 years old girl child may require a sanitary napkin even at the time of flood or earthquake. When they are in the shelter home, they may not be able to get. So that is their most important need which we need to provide. Similarly, a 2-year-old boy may require a milk or complementary food which may not be available. So when we understand the breadth and depth of the vulnerabilities, we can ensure we can reduce the vulnerability and risk of the children. So let me complete with a few more points. The child-centric disaster, difference between CCDRR and CBDRR. In community-based disaster risk reduction, there is no target group. Suppose you want to protect all the people from the COVID-19 pandemic, but CCDRR is targeting on children, protect children from COVID-19 pandemic. That is CCDRR. Okay, so here in CCDRR, it's a vulnerability as an adult-led process. Only people used to say who are all vulnerable, who are having problem. But in CCDRR, the children themselves, they will take the lead role. Okay, similarly, the tools were used in CBDRR is an adult-led process, but in CCDRR, it's a child-led process. And the risk assessment is mostly done by elder people in the community-based disaster risk management. But in CCDRR, children themselves used to do, or the child activists used to do. And the CBDRR emphasizing the strengthening of community-based organization, like women's self-help group or disaster management committees, right? But CCDRR is strengthening the children's organization, like a Bala Sabha or youth club, right? So strengthening this and focusing on natural hazards. CBDRR is focusing on natural hazard, but CCDRR is focusing more on development issues faced by the children, like education, health issues faced by the children, and providing solution to them. And CBDRR was enhancing the capacity and reducing the vulnerability of people. But the CCDRR is focusing on empowering children to raise their voice for their rights and prepare a community for potential disaster. So this is the difference between child-centric disaster risk reduction and community-based disaster risk. With this, let me stop my presentation and let us go for a question answer session. Okay. So now, if you are having any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I will ask a question. Okay. All of you listening? Is it audible? Are you listening?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So, sir, this is Preeti from Social Work Department. As I have also told, sir, my question is that this child-centric disaster risk reduction is concentrated to and for or with children only specifically. So, is it what's the role actually? Can you please suggest the role of what childrens are actually meant to do in this?
Yeah, as I said, we can divide a children life
Dr. Kalu,
into. Yes, sir.
if you kindly allow me, then I'll
Yeah, please.
share with them a simple video so that they can see what is actually the role of children into the CCDRR.
Yeah, please, sir. Please, you can. That will give a
So,
good clarity.
enter so that I can share the video, and the video will be more than the 1,000 words what we will be explaining, and it will give you a clear-cut picture that how what is CCDRR and what is the role of children.
Yes, sir. Please, please.
Yeah. Just give me a moment because it's quite a lot of time that give me a second so that I can find out where the video is actually.
Yes, sir. Please take. So by that time, I also.
Meanwhile, you just keep interacting with the participants. I'm just trying to find out the video where it is. Okay?
Yeah. It's the right question because when we know how we can involve children in CCDR activity, then only we can implement it. Right. So one thing what
Yes,
you can
sir.
do is by creating awareness among the children, and second, you can involve children in conducting mock drill. Like suppose earthquake comes, what are the do's and don'ts? You can create awareness among the children. You can make them to practice it. Okay, you can make them to practice it. For example, you can take example of this COVID-19 situation. Suppose you are a volunteer, you want to create awareness among the society how to wash the hand. You can teach one child and you can tell the child to make a demo, and you can use the children to distribute the mask to the society. Okay, these are all the examples how we can involve children in disaster risk management activities. And suppose you want to create awareness among the society about do's and don'ts at the time of earthquake or flood or lightning, you can involve children. Okay, but you need to see which age group of children to be used in which activity. Okay, like the elder children between 13 to 18 years old, if they all were trained properly, you can use them for a first aid, or you can also use those children for rescuing the people who are stuck in the flood water. Clear? And Dr. Akash is also trying to show a video.
I'm just trying to find out, Palu, there are many.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
it's really very helpful.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Any other question from the participant side?
Palu, what was the name of that video? Can you tell me, please? That was Save the Children's video, I think, on the Bangladesh issue. I think, yeah.
I am having. If you want, I also can show it.
But you can share with from your laptop.
If they make me as a presenter, I can share.
Yeah. Just run that. Just run that. That is 7 or 8 minutes video, and that will give you a perfect picture of the what is CCDRR and what is the role of children.
Yeah. Just.
Hello.
Yeah, please make me as a presenter. I'm just going to play a video.
Also, sir, I would just say that I'm here now.
Yes, ma'am, you have seen. I'm unable to share. I'm ready with my video, but I'm unable to share.
Okay, just request me the host, make Palu the presenter.
Host, please make me a presenter so that I would like to show a video.
Hello, Biru.
Host, please.
Yes.
Balu, now you are a presenter.
Biru sir, please allow Balu sir to do that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Please, anyone tell me is visible video?
Yes, it's on the screen. Go ahead. Yeah, that's right. Perfectly. Sound, can you see? Because most of the go ahead.
Bangladesh is the world's most unique green delta. People of this land stay close to the nature. They love nature and are made to be loved by nature. Bangladesh is a riverine country, largely dependent on the nature's mercy. With its 1,000 arms, mercy goddess nature has brought blessings for this country. Here, people have also seen the frightful, cruel face of Mother Nature. Due to the human-caused injustice to nature and climate change, now Bangladesh is the world's most disaster-prone region. Now, natural disasters such as flood, drought, tornado, cyclone, and spate have constant companion of this region's people. These natural disasters snatch people, asset, prospect, dream, and our future. Southern districts are the most disaster-prone regions of the world's most disaster-prone country, Bangladesh. Arif, the child, one of the southern districts. His habitat is the small ramshackle cottage. Arif and his family are still burying those memories of 2007's frightful civil. This civil made his mother crippled. But this disaster has changed his life. After this disaster, Arif has realized that surviving demands fighting with nature. For this, preparedness is needed. During that time, Arif met Omid. Omid inspired Arif to join Children's Club. Arif has received practical training on disaster preparedness in this Children's Club. Arif realizes what to do if disaster like Sidr attacks again. Not only Arif, there are more children in Children's Club. They get training, be prepared. These children go to villages, collect disaster-related data from people. আমরা যে উদ্দীপন শিশু জমির কাছে আসছিলাম একটা জরিপে, তো আপনার কাছ থেকে কিছু আমরা তথ্য আর কি নিব, যাতে সহজ হতে পারে। ঝড় আসছে, গাছ পড়ে গেছে, গাছটা কাইটে যদি 5 জন মানুষ উঠিয়ে ফেলায়, রাস্তাটা পরিষ্কার করে, এরকম কোন লোকজন আছে? নিজের ইচ্ছে।
আপনার সাথে আমরা একটু আলোচনা করি। আপনাদের এলাকায় কি ধরনের দুর্যোগ হয়?
দুর্যোগ হয়েছে তো আমাদের এলাকায় 88 সালের বন্যা হয়েছে, মারাত্মক বন্যা, যার কোনো মুখে কল্পনা করা যায়। On the basis of collected information, they exchange information related to disaster risks and strategies in yard meeting with the people of that area.
আমাদের এলাকায় বিভিন্ন সময় বিভিন্ন দুর্যোগ হয়, যেমন সিডর হয়েছে, আইলে হয়েছে। তো সেই বিষয়ে আমরা এখন আপনাদের সামনে আলাপ করব যে আমাদের এলাকায় কোন কোন ধরনের দুর্যোগ হয়েছে বা হওয়ার সম্ভাবনা আছে।
আপনাদের এলাকায় কি কি ধরনের দুর্যোগ হয়?
আমাদের এলাকায় সাধারণত দেখা গেছে 6 ঋতুর দেশ তো, নিম্ন অঞ্চলে বরিশাল বিভাগের সরকারা দেখা গেছে আমরা সবাই খেটে খাওয়া মানুষ, দেখা গেছে কৃষিকাজ করতে গেছি, হঠাৎ করে সিডর চলে আসছে।
এখানে মেন সড়কে বারহাট থেকে পিন্সপুর দিকে যে রোড, এটা হলো চালনার ব্রিজ। ব্রিজের পাশ থেকে একটা রাস্তা চলে গেছে, বগুড়ির দিকে চলে গেছে। এখান থেকে শুরু করে আমি একদম সোজা, এটা হলো আমাদের মানে ইউনিয়নের দক্ষিণ সাইড, এটা হচ্ছে দক্ষিণ। এখন আমি দক্ষিণ থেকে শুরু করলাম। আমি চালনারপুর থেকে কিছু দূর আগে এসে আমরা মেন রোডের অর্থাৎ পশ্চিম পাশে একটি সাইক্লোন সেন্টার। On the basis of all these, they made the map indicating disasters and resources. Club finalizes this map. Then, this map is presented in the meeting with Union Porishop. This design is finally approved here.
এখানে আমরা দেখছি স্কুলেতে নভেম্বর ডিসেম্বরে গরমের ছুটি কম। আমাদের অভিজ্ঞতা থেকে বলছি যে আমরা ছিল ফেস করছি নভেম্বরে 15 নভেম্বর 2007। পরে আরো সিগন্যাল আসছিল, কিন্তু হয়তো আমাদের এই অঞ্চলে আসলে সেটিও নভেম্বরে নভেম্বর মাসটা থেকে আমরা একেবারে পুরো দেখতে পাচ্ছি। আমি আশাবাদী
Thus, Arif and the child of this human habitation have become a united force, ready to face disasters. These children suffer most in the natural disaster of Bangladesh. So, Arif's preparedness only mitigates disasters. Though Bangladesh has gone far ahead in the field of disaster risk reduction, still, children are ignored in disaster preparedness and strategies for confronting disasters. In order to change the situation, Save the Children has adopted society-based child-centered disaster risk reduction program. Along with partner organizations, Save the Children is preparing children like Arif in disaster-prone areas so that they can win over disasters. This club is preparing Arif and his friends to confront disasters. They are preparing themselves as trained children. Following this, 2,640 children are being prepared through 30 clubs to fight against disasters. Even the entertainments are disaster preparedness centered. Thus, an aware, united, and child-friendly population can mitigate disaster risk and handle disaster situation. Say, for example, Arif and his friends. Now, Arif is much more self-confident as well as self-assured. 2007 যে আমাদের সিরিয়াল হয়েছে, সেই সিরিয়ালে আমার মা পঙ্গু হয়ে গেছে। আজকে যদি সেই সিরিয়াল আসে, আমার কোনো ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হবে না, আমার পরিবারের কোনো ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হবে না, প্লাস আমার আত্মীয় স্বজনদের কোনো ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হবে না। কারণ আমি এখন জানি যে দুর্যোগ আসলে কি করতে হবে, দুর্যোগ চলাকালীন সময় কি করতে হবে, দুর্যোগ শেষে আমাকে কি করতে হবে, আমি এখন সব বিষয়ে জানি। আর তাই আমি এখন বলতে পারি, দুর্যোগ আসলে আমার আমার মনে হয় আমার পরিবার সহ আমি যাদেরকে এই বিষয়ে জানাইছি তাদের কারোই কোনো ক্ষতি হবে না। All of them are self-assured. A self-assured Bangladesh like this can be the prime force to handle the disaster situation. Disasters are bound to come, but need to be handled with sufficient preparedness. A prepared generation can mitigate disaster effects.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Balu, ended, and we will go with the next session without any delay, actually, so that we can end up within the time. So, Namrata, you can start your presentation. Host, please, Namrata, the presenter's role.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience caused earlier due to some technical issues. And moving on with the proceedings, I would like to introduce our next key speaker, Ms. Namrata Sharma. Ma'am is a counseling psychologist by profession with a master's degree from Delhi University and applied psychology with specialization in clinical psychology. She has also a diploma in guidance and counseling from NCERT. She has many years of counseling experience with children, teenagers, young adults in schools and hospitals, as well as from various socio-economic backgrounds. Currently, she is working for YWCA of Delhi at the post of a counselor, where she provides counseling services to women in shelter homes from various sectors of society, dealing with mild to severe psychological and psychosocial problems. In addition, ma'am also interacts with the Girls of Women's Training Institute, which is run by YWCA of Delhi and provides the young girls with personal as well as group counseling sessions and occasional workshops on psycho-educational topics such as prevention of sexual harassment, life skills, domestic violence, etc. And today for our training program, ma'am will be speaking on the topic mental health of children at the time of disaster. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Let's quickly start. And ma'am, just can you let me know if I should go in English or should I be bilingual? Whatever you are comfortable with the audience. What should I speak more, Hindi or English?
English.
Yeah. English. Okay. Thank you, sir. So quickly we will move to our presentation, and before I move to my first slide, I would like to say that I'm sorry for the delay, but bijli ka kya hi kar sakte hain na. So unfortunately electricity was gone, Wi-Fi was gone, so I apologize for that. And we will start our presentation. Like ma'am said, our presentation will primarily focus on children and the mental health issues that might arise due to this COVID-19 disaster situation. And my presentation will be purely from a psychological perspective. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे parents होंगे, teachers होंगे, students होंगे, young parents भी हो सकते हैं, and most of you might deal with children. But before that, we first need to understand कि children exactly होते कौन से stage में हैं. Because हम हमेशा बात करते हैं, हम कभी 18 साल के बच्चे को भी बच्चा कह देते हैं, स्पेशली जो सोशल वर्क में काम करते हैं सेक्टर में, उनके लिए हर कोई बेटा हो. So what exactly is a childhood considered to be? So childhood is a period of the human lifespan between infancy and adolescence, extending from years 1 to 12 to 13. So when a child is born, it is called a baby, and from the age of 1 year That means कि जो entire time वो from birth to the age of 13 जो वो निकालता है, that is called the childhood period. And for me personally, being a psychologist, and I'm sure आप में से बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो हमारे CCDRR के लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं, staff बैठे हैं, they also consider children to be people who beyond the age of 13, because जब adolescence आती है, teenagers आते हैं, तो बच्चा suddenly adult तो नहीं बन जाता है ना, तो slow transition तब भी वहाँ होता है. That's why I personally feel that even after 13 years of age, until the age of 18, a child is considered to be, a person is considered to be in the childhood stage. But this is the age. And mental health in childhood means reaching developmental and emotional milestones, learning healthy social skills, and how to cope when there are problems. So when a child is born, he is a completely blank slate. So psychological terms में उसको tabula rasa बोलते हैं, जैसे खाली तख्ती होती है, खाली blackboard होता है, empty, completely clean. So a child's brain, a child's psyche, and like even the physical body is like a blank blackboard. And it's the responsibility of us humans कि हम उसको कैसे उनको दोबारा उनको अच्छी चीजों के साथ हम उनको सोशल स्किल्स कैसे सिखाएं, नए इमोशनल माइलस्टोन्स कैसे अचीव कराएं, how to we teach them how to deal with and cope with certain kinds of problems. So the mental health of a child develops in that manner. Now to move on and to be more specific about the periods of childhood, I would quickly like to introduce these three periods of childhood, and you can also relate. I hope my so these three pictures in some manner may also depict that what are these three periods of childhood. The first period of childhood is called the infancy and toddlerhood. That is from the birth to 2 years of age. And this period brings dramatic changes in the body and the brain. And this is a time where the maximum number of neural connections happen. So the neurons keep developing. And I think most of us know that neurons stop developing, or the connections stop happening after a certain age. That's where the IQ stops, and the IQ hardly ever drops. But after the point we stop, that ability to memorize new things and learning, that stops, because the neural connections start to develop. Anyway, I'm only going to do my biology. Then comes the second stage, that is the early childhood. That is from the age of 2 to 6 years. And like you can see in the second picture, a child starts going to a daycare center, maybe class 5 or 6 में वो kindergarten या nursery या class 1 में आ जाता है. And the child starts to learn how to be self-sufficient and control himself. Now, why is that important? The child is toilet trained, and the child starts to move outside the premises of the home where he has been for the past, 4 or 5 years with the parents with complete support, and whenever there's something goes wrong, the parent is always there. But now the child is moving out and he's learning to meet new people. Language development is a major development in this period, because the child starts to make 2-word connections, like small tiny sentences with 3 words or 4 words. And he is able to understand that if I talk it out, if I am able to use my language, the person in front of me can understand me better. So these are some major developments that happen in the early childhood, as well as the establishment of ties with peers. So once the child steps out of the home, he starts to make new friends, and he understands that मेरी जिंदगी सिर्फ parents तक ही सीमित नहीं है. I have more friends, I can make more friends, and it's fun to play with these people. The third stage is the middle childhood stage. And in that stage, the child is considered to be from the age of 6 to 11 years, like you can see in the third picture. I have put images so that you can connect to your personal lives as well, and you can understand that your child might be in that phase also. So from the age of 6 to 11 years, the child has started to go to a proper school, like regularly, for around morning 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The child is in the school, and then he is probably playing outside in the park. So here the child understands about the wider world, because he is spending more time outside the homes. So he starts to take new responsibilities. Parents start to consider the child as a slightly older being, so that they can give him more responsibilities, maybe some household chores. They start giving him pocket money, so that that's another responsibility to handle money. So these changes happen during the middle childhood phase. Let's talk about disaster a little bit. I'm sure आपको एक दिन दो दिन के दौरान बहुत disaster के बारे में सुनने को मिला, and कल भी बहुत ही अच्छी और presentations होंगी जिसमें you will further learn more about disasters. But talking from a psychological point of view, that physical loss होता है, property का loss होता है, and many other things जो sirs ने बहुत detail में बताई होंगी. But there is also a lot of impact that happens on the psychological part of the human being. So, and it has been seen that the maximum number of people who are affected, the maximum population, children, the percentage of children is the highest, and there are a lot of symptoms that arise due to these disasters. The impact can be seen in certain symptoms, and it can be triggered either within that month or maybe later that month, because हर इंसान का जो react करने का time होता है, style होता है, that's completely different. Some people keep it in, and it comes out at a later stage. And some people are the kinds where, like I personally, I am a person who will react immediately. I never keep things inside me. So I will react to a disaster or a stressful situation immediately. So there can be some symptoms of that, which we will talk in our later slides. But like there can be memories, there can be flashbacks की वो जो disaster हुआ, वो जो उसका impact, उसके flashbacks, the nightmares happen, रात को नींद नहीं आना, बच्चों को nightmares होने की बहुत शिकायत होती है. Adults call it bad dreams, but we call it nightmares for children, because they are not able to completely communicate कि उनका सपना exactly था क्या. Avoidance of remembering trauma and intense anxiety. I will talk about these in detail a little more. That's why I'm going ahead with this slide. Now, there is one word that we use very commonly, that is stress. अब stress भैया होता क्या है? अब हमें लगता है कि टेंशन हो जाए थोड़ी सी तो स्ट्रेस है, बच्चों में स्ट्रेस नहीं होता ना. तो बिगेस्ट मिसकंसेप्शन अबाउट स्ट्रेस इज दैट बच्चों को स्ट्रेस नहीं होता. क्यों नहीं होता? I will tell you how it happens and what maybe you can actually understand the brain, the mind of this child, and what kind of stresses he goes through. Now, when a child is young, he or she might have a lot of expectations laid upon them. Now, those expectations can come from the friends. अरे यार तू ऐसे कपड़े क्यों पहनता है, कुछ स्टाइलिश पहनना. They can come from the teachers, well in your studies, parents. Act like this, sit like this, stand like this, say namaste, don't say this, don't be rude, be nice, be gentle. So then there can be a lot of expectations from the tuition teachers, from the relatives, from the cousins, and all these expectations start building up, and this is the kind of stress a child goes through. And this is something that impacts their self-esteem, self-concept, and their self-worth. And trust me, children go through more stress than adults, because this entire world is very confusing for them. See, what happens is, as adults, we have learned how to deal with problems around us. We fall, we get up, we fail, and then we try again. So we have learned our own coping styles. But what about the child? We were also a child at a point of time, and when we had to go through those problems, that caused a lot of issues for us, a lot of stress for us, and as a result, that's why we come to the conclusion that the child goes through more stress than an adult, because first of all, he cannot express himself or herself. Second of all, he or she does not know that if I do this action, what are the consequences that will happen, because he has not dealt with that situation yet. Therefore, जब मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि मेरे ये काम करने से मुझे प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, तो सडनली जब उसका वो आएगा रिजल्ट एंड इट्स नेगेटिव result or negative impact, I will be more stressed out. However, as adults, we know if I'm going to do this, I know something is going to come my way and I will have to handle it in a certain manner. So, now stress is also of two kinds. And also children go through a lot of stress regarding their hobbies, something they want to do, but their parents don't want to do, their talents, this education, this stress of their studies, a lot of expectations. Now, there are two kinds of stress. The first is the good stress, that is called the eustress. I'm sure most of you must have heard it or read it somewhere. And the second is the bad stress. Bad stress, थोड़ा सा और आगे बात करेंगे. The good stress. Now, good stress is called the eustress, and this is a very good thing. So, if you take it the right way, now I'll share an example with you for your better understanding. For example, I have a stage performance on the annual day after 2-3 weeks, and I prepare very hard. I'm practicing daily. I'm giving 2-3 hours for my dance routine, and I'm doing, perfectly well. I'm sure I've practiced so much that I will do very well on the stage. But on the day of the performance, when I'm standing backstage and 2 minutes later my name will be called out, I have to come on the stage, I start panicking. I start getting breathless. My hands start to sweat. My heartbeat starts to rise up. So, but as soon as I'm pushed on the stage and I'm standing in the spotlight, I hesitate for a moment, but suddenly I do well. Now, this is called the eustress. Eustress is something that pushes you forward to do well. अब अगर ये वाली stress नहीं होगा ना, तो जब exam होगा, I will be sitting back in my chair, laid back, and I will be thinking, no, it's okay, it's just an exam, yeah. What will happen? I will not, if I'm not feeling scared, I will not be motivated to work towards that goal or that aim. That's why eustress is considered to be a good kind of stress. Now, there are other kinds of severe kind of stress, and they are called the bad stress. So, I will quickly share with you what are these types of stress. This can happen in adults as well as children, but here you will be more comfortable in relating it to adults. The first kind of stress is called the basic stress, and it can be overcome by physical and psychological adjustments. I'll tell you how. I'll share an example again. So, for example, I have an examination. I have given the example of exam stress here also. For example, I have an exam after 2-3 days, and I have been given a 2-3 day prep to prepare for my exam. Now, I am constantly sitting on the sofa, I'm watching TV, but somewhere behind my head, in my mind, I am thinking, oh my God, 2 दिन बाद मेरा exam है. What should I do? What should I do? I'm not getting up from the sofa. That is causing me stress. But if I get up from the sofa, I make up my mind that I have to finish the syllabus by tomorrow, or half my syllabus today, half my syllabus tomorrow, then that stress can slowly go away. And like I mentioned here, if you can overcome this stress by physical and psychological adjustments. So physically I got up, and psychologically I made my mind that I have to study, and my stress slowly went away. So that is the good thing about this basic stress. कि अगर आप मेहनत करोगे तो ये stress हट सकता है, ठीक है? Now there's another kind of stress that is called the cumulative stress. For example, I did not get up from my sofa. I did not do anything. I went to sleep. I am not even focused on studying at all. Suddenly that stress will start accumulating. It will start building up. एक दिन खत्म हो गया, one prep leave is over, then the second prep leave is coming to an end. I only have half a day left. So just imagine how much stress I have built upon myself. And that's the moment when cumulative stress comes. And there comes a time after a point where you can do nothing. So in the cumulative stress, no matter whatever changes you do in your life, whether it's psychological adjustments or physical, that stress is very difficult to overcome, and it takes much longer. Okay? And I have also given the example of coronavirus here, because now we are talking about disasters, and coronavirus is a pandemic, like disaster that is on the level of on a worldwide level. So coronavirus is causing us cumulative stress. We are stuck in a situation where we can do nothing about it. All we can do is accept the situation. And this is a tip for you all, that once you accept the situation, you will start making new ideas. You will start coming up with new things in your head, how you can overcome the stress. Okay, so the first step to loosening that stress is called is to accept the entire situation. Burnout. Now the third kind of stress is called the burnout stress. Just one second, let me take time. Now the third kind of stress is called the burnout stress, and it is a severe state of emotional and physical exhaustion. Most of us in our lives who have worked in offices And it can happen to housewives also. It can happen to students like PhD level students, MPhil, even young children. Burnout is not just for an office-like situation. It can happen to anyone. It is work related. So a person who is not taking time out for himself or herself, अभी जो doctors, जो nurses हैं, जो लोग घर पे बैठ के काम करें, उनको भी burnout हो सकता है, because in a way offices come home and we are not getting that free time. We are not even finding that space for ourselves where we can relax, because of hurry office बन चुका है. So anytime my boss can call me and they can say, okay, ये काम कर दो. अरे, there is no timing over it. So that is creating a lot of issues in our personal lives, and that can also cause burnout. It is also called depression at work. Just for your information. Now there are two more severe kinds of stress. I would say profound, which are called traumatic stress, and the first kind is called the critical incident stress. And I will share an example with you so that I can really explain it to you, because you will get the PPT. I'm seeing a lot of comments. You will definitely be given the PPT and you can read this later. Okay. So for example, I have had my dinner and I plan to go on an evening walk. So it's 8 or 9 o'clock. I've had my dinner at 7:30 or 8. And it's a beautiful weather. It just rained for 1 hour and the streets are completely clean. It's very breezy. Thandi hawa chal rahi hai. I have music in my ears and I'm very comfortable in my loose clothes. I'm wearing my comfortable shoes. So there's a lot of beautiful flowers on the side of the road. So I'm enjoying myself thoroughly. But suddenly I see a huge truck that is, occupying the entire street. So neither can I jump here nor there. And suddenly it is racing towards me. Now that can cause me and put me in it is putting me in a threatening situation. I was so comfortable. I was completely okay, I was so happy in my environment, but suddenly something is coming towards me, and I don't know whether I will be alive in the next 2 minutes or not. And this can cause a lot of distress in me. And the kind of stress that can happen at this time can be called the critical incident stress, because there is suddenly a disruptive and sudden movement that is happening around me that can threaten my life. So a similar thing happens during a disaster. Nobody knew that coronavirus is going to come. In January, we all were happy. It's a new year. We had a lot of plans, but suddenly coronavirus was hit into our faces, and has caused so much of damage, so much of loss that I don't think it's going. I think it will take years to overcome. So many families have lost so many members. So this kind of situation caused critical incident stress. This stress can begin immediately after critical incident or maybe delayed. But you need to understand that the reaction to distress is completely normal. We all are human beings and we all have a similar biological system. So the reaction can be completely normal, because we can either fight the situation or flight the situation. It's completely normal. Do not think that I am abnormal, I am being too sensitive, I am taking this too negatively. It's completely alright. Now there is a second kind of stress that is called the secondary traumatization. In this, quickly again, I'll explain it with an example. Emergency workers. Currently, people working in hospitals like doctors, nurses, the housekeeping staff, the cleaning staff, social workers, counselors, psychologists, even people like from this very department who are taking the training session. But obviously, we are not working in the field. Still, constantly being in touch with people who are suffering from some kind of trauma. And if you remember that when there is an earthquake, when there's a flood, when there's a cyclone, there are a lot of teams that come over to that particular place and they help those people come out of that difficult situation. They are pulling out bodies, even these people. When you're constantly working with these kinds of people who are suffering from some kind of trauma, and people from suffering from people from disaster-struck areas mainly, it causes a lot of stress, because you are not taking out time for yourself, and it can cause a lot of symptoms of trauma as well. Now, moving on to the main part of my PPT, जिसके लिए आज हम सब हैं यहाँ पे. Obviously, disaster is equally important. It is important to share the kind of stresses with you because वो एक base बनाता है हमारी आगे की activities के लिए. But let's talk a little bit more about children and what the lockdown has done to our children. Again, I would like to say children को आप 18 years of age तक भी consider कर सकते हैं because there are some children who take time to evolve and becoming teenagers or adolescents. And personally, I feel from the age of birth to 18 years, a person is considered to be a child in the childhood period. Okay, so lack of social interaction. The first thing that COVID lockdown took from our children, stole away from our children, was the lack of social interaction. They are not able to meet their peers. They are not even being able to go to school. School closures have caused a lot of negative impact on our children. We are sitting in a four-wall. Most of us don't even have big homes, so our children don't even have the space to run around. So that causes a lot of lack of physical activity. Children need to run. They need that kind of physical activity. So they used to go to parks. They used to go for football matches, maybe basketball matches. In schools, there was a lot of physical activity that used to happen. So even though the child is going to the school to study, but he used to run around the entire day. You cannot sit in one place for the entire day, right? There were a lot of activities that happened. And that in result causes, helps the child to grow mentally. Now, physical health is not just for the body, the exterior, it is also for the development of the cognitive skills and, a lot of development happens because of physical activity. So the children are lacking that currently. Okay. Then the lack of cognitive stimulation. Cognitive stimulation से मेरे कहने का मतलब है when they used to go to schools, they had different subjects, they had teaching, they were taught for the entire day. The child knew that when I am going to school, I have to study for the entire day. So that mental preparation was already there. The conditioning was already there. Now it's not happening. Who wants to study at home? It's not even the kind of environment where a child should stay, is meant to study. Because for so many years, the child thought that school is for study, but home is for relaxation, parks is for playing, and bed is for sleeping. My bedroom is for sleeping. So everything had its own significance. So studying is not happening at home. Cognitive stimulation, the way it should happen, is not happening. Lack of external exposure. Lack of external exposure can be in several forms. It can be, maybe a child used to go out to see her or his friends in the park. Then there used to be visits to the zoo, to the museum. The schools played a very important role here, but that is not happening. There are some more serious kinds of impacts that COVID has brought, and I would just like to mention that in 2 or 3 lines. Domestic violence. There have been a lot of familial disputes, and it has been seen that by WHO it was mentioned that 1 out of 3 women globally are suffering from domestic violence. And here I would just like to mention that not just women, even men can go through domestic violence. And as a result, the child is being impacted. If you see these images here, you can see what kind of impact the child, what is this domestic violence doing with the child? There is a very negative impact. Even the parents might not know, just small arguments. Like now everyone is at home. कुछ ना कुछ छोटी छोटी बात पे argument होती रहती है. The frustration of not having having that financial stability, or being frustrated throughout the day. So many things keep piling onto the person's head, and it comes out on a spouse or the child. And as a result, there can be physical abuse also. Physical abuse में बच्चा भी बीच में आ जाता है कभी-कभी, and maybe the father or the mother don't realize, but the child gets slapped, and the child doesn't even know why was I hit. Even my fault. So this is another negative impact. And a more serious kind of offense that might happen around you is sexual abuse. Now, I'll tell you how that happens. This is not indicative of any lower socioeconomic background or whatever, but I'm just saying that people have who were situated or placed in several other cities have come back to their homes now. Due to COVID, they are not in the cities where they used to work, so the houses are full. Families have come back to their you know, villages or hometowns or whatever. So the family is always there. So there might be elder cousins, there can be uncles, aunts, parents are definitely there, distant relatives who are living together. And that puts the child in a very difficult position because he is now completely open to the people who might do some kind of sexual assault with the child. And trust me, I work in this area and I have seen that most of the time it's the one of the family members who carry out such kind of social activities, sexual activities. So it can be anybody, it can be a big cousin. So a parent cannot be with the child for 24 and 27, right? The child tends to, just go away, play around or whatever. So you cannot protect the child completely. And sexual abuse cases have been happening a lot. Even in UP, you can see, I'm not saying that that's happening within the family, but in UP, a lot of rape cases have been seen with young adolescent girls. Moving on with the presentation, I am now going to point out some indicators where parents, guides, caretakers can understand what a child might display in the form of emotions, behaviors, or thoughts, so that you can understand that maybe my child is going through some kind of stress. So this is a chart. It is called a table flow chart. It is called a cognitive triangle. And cognitive triangle has three components: thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And the arrows, if you see, go both ways. So it's not necessary that this chart will move like this or this flow chart will move like this. It can move either way. So all three components can impact each other in any manner. I will explain it with an example because anyway the PPT is going to come to you all, so you can go through like the entire PPT thoroughly. So I'm here to basically make you understand the significance of it in the disaster situation. So, for example, again I'll take the example of my examination. I woke up in the morning and I was very... Please mute your mics. Unza Raza अपना mic mute कर लीजिए. So when I woke up in the morning, I was in a very nice mood. Maybe रात को मैंने किसी अपने दोस्त से अच्छे से बात की, टाइम से सोई, मौसम बहुत अच्छा था, and I had a full 8-hour sleep. And as a result, when I woke up in the morning, my mood was very nice. I was very happy. I was very chirpy. I helped my mother in the kitchen also. And then I thought that maybe I have an examination in a month or so, so I should complete some kind of amount of syllabus today. So I plan out my day. So as a result, my emotions were positive. So as a result, my thoughts were also positive. I was thinking good things and positive things. And then I sat the entire day and I did a lot of studying. I was focused. I was concentrating very well. I was attentive and I did most of my syllabus. So that could be seen in my behavior. So now all I wanted to explain to you was that our emotions can impact our thoughts and our thoughts can impact our behavior. ये आप अपनी लाइफ की किसी भी सिचुएशन के साथ कनेक्ट करके देख लीजिए. It can be relevant to any situation. Now moving on to the next slide. Now is the time to understand the impact. तो देख लिया कि कोविड ने हमारे बच्चों के साथ क्या किया, क्या छीना, क्या खो दिया हमारे बच्चों ने. But how do we understand as parents, as social workers or counselors, psychologists, that a child is going through some kind of mental stress? The first way that you can find out is through the emotional changes. Like I mentioned, three components are there: thoughts, emotion, behavior. We are going to focus on those three components. So the first way you can identify some kind of mental stress is the emotional outbursts. Emotional outbursts can be in several ways. Yelling, बच्चा बहुत ज़्यादा मार रहा है, चीजें तोड़ रहा है घर के अराउंड, इज नॉट लिसनिंग टू यू, नॉट डिसिप्लिन एट ऑल. बैड माउथिंग, गाली देना बिकॉज शायद उसने घर में कहीं सुनी होगी अपने बड़े भाई बहन से. फाइटिंग, अपने पेरेंट्स से लड़ना, अपने आसपास के बच्चों से बहुत ज्यादा लड़ना. नाउ सी, here's a disclaimer. You need to understand that there is a possibility कि आपके बच्चे का personality ऐसा ही था. The personality type that your child had was like this. Temperament, I would say. So don't think that मेरे बच्चे में अगर इनमें से एक भी चीज हो रही है तो शायद वो मेंटली है, या उसको कोई मेंटल डिसऑर्डर है, या मुझे फटाफट उसको दवाई देनी है, या कुछ करना है, या काउंसलर के साथ वो करना है. So these things happen over time. You know as a parent that my child is not this kind of a person and he's suddenly behaving very body. So sit with him, talk to him. So ultimately, it's a very it's your call how you see your child, how deeply you know your child. But I would just like to say that एक चीज पे पर base करके कोई conclusion पे नहीं. Then there can be sadness in the child. Obviously, COVID has taken away a lot of playtime for the child. So it's understandable that the child might feel a little lethargic, a little sad. But if that's happening over a longer period of time, then that's something that is disturbing. He can be irritable. There can be a lot of crying spells, बहुत रोना, fear of stepping out or interacting with others. Now that the COVID has slowly gone away, we are allowed to step into the past, but the child does not want to go. What is wrong with him? He loves to play with his friends. But अब क्या हुआ है? Sit down and talk to the child. Jealousy. Jealousy is also a very important factor in emotions that shows that the child does not want you to be close to other kids because he wants all your attention. Moving on to the second component, second way in which you can identify if the child is going through some kind of mental illness or mental stress, it is the behavioral changes. So staying separated from the family, socially withdrawn. Now my child loved to sit with the family. Whenever the cousins used to come, when I used to come back from my office, as parents, I love to sit with my parents. When my parents came back from the office, so I used to love to sit with everybody in the family. But now suddenly my child doesn't care. He doesn't want to sit with the family. He is socially withdrawn. He doesn't want to do any activity with the parents. So there's a chance that there's something going on in his head. Lack of sleep or excessive sleep. या तो बहुत ज़्यादा सो रहा है या बहुत कम सो रहा है. उसको बिल्कुल नींद नहीं आ रही है. There are nightmares that are happening. There is a very disturbed sleep patterns that are happening. Or he's not sleeping. He's sleeping a lot. Maybe because he's lethargic, he's not feeling like playing. So lack of energy can also lead to a lot of sleeping. Now, then there can be a lack of appetite or increased appetite. Either बच्चा बहुत ज़्यादा खा रहा है या बहुत कम खा रहा है. Lethargic होना, lack of energy, clingy होना, 24 घंटे मम्मी पापा से चिपके रहना. He's seeking some kind of attention. He wants his parents to listen to him. Being inattentive. बाकियों को खराब लग. Being inattentive. So this is another behavior that can be seen in kids. पढ़ाने के लिए बैठा तो inattentive है, पढ़ना नहीं है, मन नहीं कर रहा है. Academic downfall हो रही है. Now, obviously, coronavirus की वजह से school नहीं जा पा रहा है बच्चा. So he is out of practice. But now it's been over 5 to 6 months, and I'm sure that the child has gotten into the routine. So you need to understand that even despite getting back into the normal routine, why are his grades falling? There can be a loss of interest. कुछ activities जो बहुत मजा आता था, जो games खेलने में पहले बहुत मजा आता था, अब वो नहीं खेलना चाह रहा है. He doesn't want to play. He's lost all interest. Struggling to conduct simple activities. Activities of daily living कहते हैं psychology. So whenever we are dealing with somebody with some mental illness, we first identify that is he able to conduct the activities of daily living. उसमें आती है brushing your teeth, washing your hands, going to the washroom, bathing, wearing your clothes, clean clothes properly, everything. All these come under basic activities. So is your child doing that comfortably, properly? Also you need to see the age. आप 1-2 साल के बच्चे से ये एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन 10 साल के बच्चे को ये सब करना आना चाहिए, right? Physically weak or self-harm. Now this is a very important issue in behavioral changes for adolescents, especially 13 years of age का जो बच्चा होता है, he knows about the outside world. So that's why teenage and adolescent years are very difficult for the child as well as the parents. So there can be self-harm in that. And छोटे बच्चे self harm इसलिए नहीं करते because उनको पता ही नहीं होता है कि करना क्यों है, करते कैसे हैं, they don't. So there can be self harm in children from the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So a parent needs to keep an eye out for them. In small children, when the parent is bathing the child or doing anything, they can check for bruises or cuts in the body. By chance, if the child has done sort of some kind of physical harm to himself or herself. Even though self-harm in teenagers, the parents should keep an eye on the wrists, They should keep an eye on the elbows. They can also keep an eye on the child's ankle area, because children know that मम्मी पापा को तो दिख जाएगा कि हमारे डिस्क के ऊपर कट है, but पैरों पे नहीं दिखेगा. So if you can see the screen, I will show you. Some children tend to cut their ankle area so that though nobody can see. So parents can keep an eye out for that. And if there are any students here, if there are any young children or adolescents here, I would recommend not to do this because it can be very life-threatening as well. You can talk to a counselor, you can talk to a psychologist, you can talk to your close friends before doing anything that can harm you or take away your life. Just want to put it out there. Then the third kind of changes that can happen in a child are the alterations in cognitive function. Now here there can be a memory deterioration. पहले मेरा बच्चा एक हफ्ते में 2-3 tables याद कर लेता था, पोएम याद कर लेता था एक हफ्ते में, but अब उसको 1 महीना हो गया, वो याद नहीं कर पा रहा है. Now one reason for that can be that घर में बैठ के time pass हो रहा है, मन नहीं कर रहा. But there can be another reason that actually there is no exercise happening in the brain, so the memory is deteriorating, and that can happen. If there is no proper exposure to the outside world, if there is no exercise that's happening, no mental activities that are happening, memory can go down. Academic downfall again, there's no new vocabulary that is developing. Decrease in learning speed, again, like I was saying, like memory deterioration, there can be a decrease in learning speed as well. Inability to solve complex problems, decision making is affected. So decision making can also be affected in children because आप अगर उनको एक series of activities देते हैं, कभी-कभी वो decision ही नहीं ले पाते हैं, मुझे पहले ये करना था या वो करना था, and that is kind of related to the memory deterioration as well. Now coming to the longer term issues. If these symptoms that I mentioned at the back are not catered to, if they are not taken care of or resolved at the right time, then they can keep building up. Remember I talked about cumulative stress? So these symptoms can accumulate and lead to long-term psychological issues that can be faced by children. I will not go into too much detail, but I will explain to you the gist. All the symptoms that I mentioned at the back, they are categorized in a certain manner, which are then called certain kind of disorders. So if I were to say that anxiety in children, long-term issues can also lead to anxiety in children. Outward signs of childhood anxiety can happen. So in that, kids may have trouble sleeping or complain about stomach aches or physical problems. They may become avoidant, clingy around parents and caregivers. They might also have trouble focusing or be very fidgety. They may be explosive outbursts that make people think they are oppositional, fight or flight mechanism, psychosomatic symptoms. So these symptoms, आपको जब PPT मिलेगी, you will be able to go through. But you, again, I'm saying to put a child in a position, in a उसको category में डालना is not a good thing. And it's very important कि आप एक प्रॉपर साइकोलॉजिस्ट या काउंसलर के पास जाकर ही अपने बच्चे का असेसमेंट कराएं एंड देन कम टू द कंक्लूजन दैट माय चाइल्ड इज गोइंग थ्रू सम काइंड ऑफ मेंटल इलनेस. हियर दिस इज जस्ट एन इंट्रोडक्शन. You are not a licensed psychologist or a doctor who will tell that your child is going through some kind of mental illness. So remember that. Another long-term issue that can happen in children is depression. Some people might think that depression बड़ों में होता है, बट बच्चों में भी होता है. However, हम डिप्रेशन नहीं कहते क्योंकि वो थोड़ा सा स्टिग्मेटाइजिंग हो जाता है, वो टैग लग जाता है बच्चे पे. So we call it sadness. Just because a child seems sad doesn't necessarily mean that he or she has significant depression. Again, I would like to say, just because के बच्चे के अंदर 1-2 symptoms हैं या वो 1 दिन 2 दिन से वो उदास है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि उसे डिप्रेशन है. Normally डिप्रेशन के कुछ क्लब होते हैं सिम्टम्स, एंड अगर वो सिम्टम्स 2 हफ्ते से ज्यादा एक इंसान में पाए जाते हैं, देन हम कह सकते हैं दैट दैट पर्सन इज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स डिप्रेशन और इज इन डिप्रेशन. सो देयर आर सम अदर सिम्टम्स ऑफ सैडनेस दैट कैन बी सीन इन द चाइल्ड, and those symptoms can interfere with the normal activities, social activities, interests, school work, family life of the child. And the primary symptoms that can be seen are sadness, feeling of hopelessness, and mood changes. For children who are much bigger, like I said, from the age of 13 onwards, there can be symptoms of drug and alcohol abuse and again suicidal tendencies and self. Here again, there are a few symptoms. Now coming to the last part, I know it's okay, I've gone way beyond time. The last 10 minutes. And now that we've talked about the negative impacts, it's also important for me to explain the parents, to explain you all that how to overcome those negative impacts. So the first thing that you can do is being there emotionally and physically for your child. Be aware of the child's physical and emotional needs. You as a parent need to know that my child used to manner how things are changing. So always be attentive and not just be there physically, be there emotionally. आप कई बच्चे होते हैं जो पेरेंट्स होते हैं वो अपने बच्चों के लिए वहाँ होते हैं, उन्हें लगता है मैं फिजिकली यहाँ पे भी हूँ, बट वो अपने बच्चों की हर एक चीज पे ध्यान नहीं रख पाते हैं. They are not there mentally. So try to be there mentally as well and give appropriate amount of attention. जितना ज्यादा आप उनको अफेक्शन देंगे, जितना आप उनको अटेंशन देंगे, उतना ज्यादा they will know that no matter what happens, my parents are always next to me, my parents are always with me. So they will know that मेरी कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, I have to go to my parents, right? Spend quality time. I will talk about quality time a little later. Make intellectual conversations, intellectual interactions. अब क्या होता है ना, छोटे बच्चों को पेरेंट्स ने क्या बोला कि बेटा हमारी ना अभी 2 महीने की छुट्टी चल रही है, that's why we are not going to go to school. Now I am wondering that 2 महीने खत्म हुए, मैं नानी के भी घर नहीं गई, लेकिन मम्मी ने बोला था कि छुट्टियां चल रही है तो अब तो हमें स्कूल जाना चाहिए ना. So the child starts to question. So the more you lie to your child, the more uncomfortable he will feel, and the more he will go outside. The curiosity will take him elsewhere to understand what is going on around the world. And when the child seeks information from the outside world, there is a chance that he comes across the wrong kind of information. Now, you must have seen children who want to understand about the act of physical intimation and sexual acts the child wants to learn, and जब उनको उसके जवाब घर से नहीं मिलते, so they go out and they come across porn videos and they start perceiving this act as in a wrong manner. So all I want to explain to you is that if a child needs to know something, it should come from the parents, because the parents know best what my child will be able to understand, what my child will be able to take. Therefore, currently also, if I wanted to talk about the current situation, educate about the current situation, educate them about the coronavirus situation, the things that are changing. The school will not open for next year or so. Why is that happening? Everything needs to be updated so that they don't feel left behind. Then provide them with adequate affection. This is a point that मैं इस पे कितना भी emphasize करूँ ना, वो कम रहे. Because the more affection you give to your child, the more closer he will feel towards you. Okay, exposure to the outside world. Now that the lockdown is opening slowly, try to take your child outside. Maybe गाड़ी में चक्कर लगवा दिया, park में घुमा दिया. Take them on the terrace for a good walk. So these things are also very important because they need change of environment. They are just a child. You are an adult. You can understand the situation. We can understand our emotions. But for a child, it's very difficult. So help them. Maintain a balanced family environment. The more happy the family environment will be, the more comfortable the child will feel at home. He will not feel the need to run out. He will not say, "Mama, kab khatam hoga lockdown." If he is feeling comfortable inside the house, he will never feel trapped or uncomfortable. Right? Keep the friends connected. Now, in this picture, if you can see, it's a very cute picture, and it shows that how important it is for the child to talk to his friends. So, like we want to stay connected with our office people, we want to talk to our friends, we stay connected to our relatives. A child also has friends. So sometimes try to have a video call with the child, be there in the background, see what the child is doing, but have them talk to their friends as well, whoever they want to talk to, whether it's telephonically or it's video call, whatever, but make them meet their friends. It's a good change for them. It makes them happy. Limit passive activities such as screen time. Now, all of us are worried as parents that the children are already spending so much of time in front of the screen because of the online classes. So, it's time that we limit those passive activities after the online classes are over. How can you do that? Try to give your child a book. The best way, best way to make your child move away from the screen is by giving them more activities to do. Plan out the day for them. They don't have the access to the internet. They don't know what they can do in their free time. But you as adults, as parents, know what is useful for my child. Get a guitar for them. Get a piano. Play some board games. Anything. But just limit those activities. And increase the outdoor or physical activities. Like I said, take them to the terrace. आधा घंटा उनको जम के खिलाओ. थोड़े थक जाएंगे तो खाना भी अच्छे से खाएंगे और सोएंगे भी अच्छे से. Maintain a timetable. Again, like I said, having a timetable is very useful now as well as later, because now that they are outside the total environment of going to school and everything, they are feeling कि अब तो life ऐसे ही चलेगी. I saw this very funny video I was sent by someone that the parents are telling the child कि अब तुम्हें school जाना है कल से, and the child starts howling. Why? Because he's so comfortable in his home that he does not want to go. कभी भी उठो, कभी भी कुछ भी खाओ, खेलते रहो सारा दिन, पढ़ाई की कोई प्रेशर ही नहीं है. मम्मी क्या कहेगी? पूरा 2 घंटे पढ़ने के लिए बैठा देंगी, प्रॉपरली थोड़ी पढ़ने के लिए बैठते हैं. So the child needs to be put in a timetable so that later when the schools open, it will be easier for the child to evolve accordingly, adapt to it easily. And maintaining a timetable is also useful for the parents. For example, if you are working from morning to evening in the office hours, have a timetable in a manner where your child is doing most of his work during that time, sona, khana, padna, and later in the evening when the entire family is free, it will be very easy for the family to spend more time together. And that can be the free time for the entire family. So there are some activities that you can do. You can teach your child to cook. Now, I don't mean कि उनको कड़छी लेके खड़ा कर दो रोटी बनाना. Have them stand next to you. Maybe they can develop an interest in cooking. Maybe they can see their future in that. It's a good time to explore your interests. Give them some sort of daily chores. ठीक है, आपको अपने कपड़े खुद उठा के रखने हैं, कपड़े खुद तैर लगा के कबर्ड में रखने हैं. Maybe you can sweep, कुछ गिरा दिया या डस्टबिन में कुछ रख के डाल के आना है, so you should do it yourself. Keep them busy. Extracurricular activities abundance. There are abundant of extracurricular activities. You can go online and you can search age appropriately for your child. Indoor games.
Namrata, how long you are going to take more?
So 5 minutes. Last slide.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So all these activities are very useful. And now, like I said, my last slide is here. Complex cognitive activities. Try to make your child understand the significance of every subject. So, like what I've seen parents doing, they keep the child seated for 1 hour, 2 hours. इसमें सब कुछ पढ़ डालो. No, that's not useful. Have half an hour for maths, half an hour for Hindi, half an hour for English. That will be more useful. Focus on the parts where the child is more weak. In schools, we have subject classes, right? So do that. Work on their reading skills. Now, again, I cannot emphasize on this point enough, because if the child starts to read, this is the best time to teach your child new vocabulary. And this I did personally, and like you can see, my vocabulary developed beautifully. So reading is the best way to, develop your vocabulary. Control inappropriate behavior, modeling. Now in this picture, if you can see, it's a beautiful depiction of modeling. So the parent is angry because maybe the driver in front is not moving. But does the child know why the parent is angry? No, the child does not know. He is just copying what the adult is doing. But when the child starts to grow and understand, he must have learned this act automatically. At that time, he did not know कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, but now he's doing it on purpose. So aggression is learned, bad language is learned. So that's not healthy for the child. So be a good model for your child, because he's spending most of of his time with you. Celebrations are important. Celebrate every festival. celebrate every birthday party. That will help the child to be more happy at home and also understand the significance of family. That family comes first. If even I have to celebrate with my, with anybody, my good times, I can celebrate with my family. And they are the ones that come first. So that is a beautiful way of showing that bahar walo ki zarurat nahi hai to be happy, right? Be mindful. Being mindful is something that is very important in today's time. जो भी activity आप कर रहे हो उसको दिल से कीजिए. If you are planting if you are planting a plant, if you are giving water to your plant, अगर आप नहा रहे हो, नहाने में अपना focus रखो, that will relax you. Teach your child to be mindful. I will tell you how it helps. It helps in concentration, in attention. Go on the internet, read a little about mindful. And the easiest way to understand mindfulness is, like I said, जब नहा रहे हैं ना, just be there in the moment. Feel the water on your body. How cool is it? Lathering of the soap, and just relaxing your mind for that particular moment. When you are sleeping, you need to leave everything behind. And mindfulness has been used to treat a lot of psychological disorders, whether it's anxiety, stress. So this is a very useful tip for you all. And I hope you can follow these things. And my session is over now. I hand it over to Raka sir.
Thank you very much, Namrata. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. It was a wonderful session, and I would request the participants that are listening very carefully what he was talking to them. So participants, come forward and ask a few questions.
Good afternoon, Raka sir. This is Sudeshna. Yesterday, I hope you remembered. I want to put forward a question to Namrata ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
My question to her is, I'm a school librarian. I already shared this information yesterday. My question is, there are two questions actually. Number one is, after the lockdown, if the school reopens, how to tackle the children from age up to 12 years? Okay, because after lockdown, what ma'am has said that they are very comfortable at home. There are no routines, timetables. Even some parents may follow her lecture, but many will not. Now the school will definitely face will be hit by this problem. So as being a school librarian, how to tackle that one, if she can highlight with her some precious suggestion. This is number one. Number two is that the students are becoming very violent and restless because of this new life concept that wear mask, we have to wear gloves, the eyewears, etc. Yesterday I faced one problem. I took out my bay for vaccination, and there at the doctor's chamber I saw a girl, hardly age of 5 to 6. She was not able to understand the pandemic situation actually because of her. She was just putting off her gloves, just putting off her eyewears, etc. And her mother was giving a big scolding. So in and out, we are facing this, and how to tackle with this. See, ma'am, it is very easy to tackle my child, but how to carry it in my professional life, because there are some taboos. We cannot scold the children. Even hitting is actually not allowed. It's not welcomed. We cannot hit the child or bully them or tease them. Nothing. But even scolding is also not welcome, because keeping in mind of child
That's
psychology.
fine, Sudeshnaji. That's fine, Sudeshnaji. We understood your question, and
Yes.
along with that, also I would like to be very specific towards asking the question. So, and questions should also be not too much personal. It should be generic, so the larger
Yes.
audience will be benefited out of it. And
Yes.
for very personal questions, I am always here. I told you I am always there, and
Yes.
I will be talking to you personally as well. So you have asked a very relevant question, and Amrita, I would request you just come up and how to stop the children from being violent during these lockdowns and the things, and the second part of the question as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I would recommend parents not to take their children outside during this pandemic situation. But like you said, the girl was there for a vaccination, and these things are somewhere vital for the child. They cannot avoid. The parents cannot avoid. So I feel like this was something that you saw, and you feel like other parents might also be going through it. And I would like to answer this question by a simple statement that try to explain your child and be affectionate. You cannot expect a 5-year-old to understand the severity of this current situation. So a parent, every individual parent has to deal with their child accordingly. So throughout my presentation, I also mentioned that you know what your child is capable of understanding. You know कि मेरे बच्चे के अंदर ये changes आए हैं तो क्यों आए हैं. Similarly, as a parent, it is your responsibility that if the child is not understanding, you have to constantly condition them. You have to constantly keep nagging them. एक बच्चा एक बार में नहीं समझता. If the child is putting her specs on the table, if the child was touching something, the mother should have got hold. A 5-year-old is very fidgety, and he or she will, bring their attention to several different things. So there was no point in scolding the child. As a result, there would be a possibility कि वो बच्चा सब कुछ उठा के फेंक देगा. And he must have ran away or got in touch with somebody who was probably having COVID virus. So the only thing I would like to mention here to every parent is that understand your child's needs first. Don't take them outside very often. If you are taking them outside, first see if the environment is slightly, light. There is lesser people on the street or lesser people in the park, and keep a close eye on your child, whatever they are doing. This is a very difficult time for all of us, and बच्चे का भी violent होना बनता है, parents का भी irritable होना बनता है. But as adults, you are more capable of handling the situation. So try to handle the situation affectionately and gently. That is the only way that you should deal with a child. That's my recommendation.
So that's perfect, Namrata. And let me add to it. See, what Namrata talked about, it's channelizing the energy. The kids are having abundant of energy. So once you channelize that energy into the right direction, then the violence will never occur. In fact, never occur. So channelizing the energy of the kid is very, very important. And as a parent, as a guardian, as a teacher, you can always think, depending on the age group of the children, where you want to channelize their energy, in what direction. You may give them the drawings, you may give them the dancing, you may give them the cooking lessons, depending on the, again I'm telling, depending on the age group of the child. So channelizing energy is very, very important in this lockdown situations, because kids are at home. And rightly Namrata told, like we all grown adults, we are facing the burnt out or situations like we have never felt before. So we can understand what the children will be facing. So try to channelize the energy. Along with that, I'll share in the group the link is we had a webinar. We did a webinar on what are the how can we channelize energy of the children, different age groups, and how can we do it. I'll share that with you also. Okay. So next question, if anyone, please come forward.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Now, what I'm trying to say is, I work with adolescent children, and I've got 2 grown-up sons of my own. During this phase, what else we are being asked, what else we are doing is, we are avoiding power struggle and conflicts. We know this pandemic, they are stuck at home and they are unable to do their things. So instead of guiding or tutoring them all the time, we are letting them go. Do you think this is a good strategy? Because at the moment, if they try to teach them too much, guide them too much, they might go into, as you said, depression.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I think, yeah, sir.
Okay. And Namrata, if you want to tell, then you go ahead. And
just in 2 lines, I would say, absolutely, ma'am. I didn't catch your name, but I feel like if I were to guide you, I would have said, I learned a new word from you today. Power, what is it? Power?
Conflict.
Sorry?
Power struggle and conflict evasion.
Okay, so I completely agree with the guidance that you've been given. and I would personally also guide you that for adolescents, it's important. See, as a child, the child does not know many things, so we have to guide them at every step. But as the child grows and becomes an adolescent, they know somewhere down the line कि मेरे लिए ये ठीक है और ये गलत है. So they are capable of making some decisions related to their personal lives. So I think it's a great idea to leave them to themselves. But like I said, be there mentally. Even if your child is talking on the phone and if you're seeing that there is a heated argument that's going on the phone, so just keep an eye on your child. It's not necessary कि आप उसी के साथ same sofa या bed के ऊपर बैठ के कोई conversation सुने. This is just a tiny example of what of this particular technique. So be there mentally for them so that कुछ अनहोनी ना हो. So
Exactly, perfectly. What Namrata told, I would just like to add to it. See, if you are the parents, you are the teachers, so you are model for them. So if a teacher or a parent is continuously taking his mobile into his or her hand, the parents, what the child will think. So modeling is, I mean to say, modeling is very important. The kids are constantly looking at you, constantly observing you. If you are handling your mobile 24/7, if you are going to your kitchen, you are handling your mobile. If you are going to your bedroom, you are handling your mobile. Then kid will definitely like to follow your pattern because you are the model for them. Okay, so you are model for them as a teacher, as a parent. One thing. The second thing out of this question, what I can think, and that's also very correct. Conflicting situation, conflicts are arising at different age groups. Okay, again, try to think where your kid has been your friend, and when your kid has been dependent on you for the looking for the direction. Say that when we are talking about the children and the children from neonatal stage to the age of 18 years, so if 13, 12, 13, 14 years kid is always a friend, treat them as a friend. But below that age, if the kid is need to say he is 4 or 5 years old, he is not into a conflicting situation. So first of all, you have to define the age group differences. Age group differences are very, very, very important, and accordingly you have to find out the ways, and you are the models. Whatever you will be doing, if you will be properly wearing a mask, if you will be properly doing the things, the kids will be following. They are creative, they will ask you questions, they are not violent. I don't mean to say, until unless you channelize their energy into the proper way, there is no situation of conflict with the kids. Kids are not at least us. Okay, so go with that and try to read their mind, where their energy is, where you want to invest their energy. So that will be a better way.
May I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
My question is that for the last 6 months, it may linger 7 months or 8 months. Students are living very different life, which they do not live in the previously. But whenever they come back to their previous life, that is, whenever they enter into the educational institution, so let you suggest what should be the role of the educational institution, including the teaching, non-teaching, and other stuffs, because they are again come back to their previous life for the last 7 months. It may linger. I'll repeatedly make 7 months, 8 months, or 9 months. They are in the home. They are detached from the teacher, from the non-teaching staff, from their friends. So what should be the ideal role of the educational institution so that the student can very comfortably adapt themselves with that situation?
Definitely, Sandeep sir. Definitely, Sandeep sir. That is a very, very important question. And I would like to stress once again the modeling, the conditioning. The modeling and conditioning is two very important points when we are talking about children, whether it's 18 years of age or whether it's 4 or 5 years of age. So see, in modeling, I can suggest you that most of the kids, the ideal figure is his or her parents, the first thing. And when the required amount of love, affection, and support is not received from the parents, the second modeling figures are always the teachers, the gurus, the kid is going to whom means learning the things. So either teachers or the parents are always the models for the kids. Okay, so I completely agree with you that a completely new situation for all the kids, all the children, and like we all are having a lot of anxieties and stresses, and you can say the fear, even the fear for unseen future. We don't know what will happen, what is coming to us, and how we are going to handle. So if as a grown-up adult, if we are having that fear, we should always think that the amount of fear those kids are actually handling. So the first thing, we have to be very truthful to the kids into a right direction. Like, we don't have to say that this is for a certain period of time and after that that is going to end. So I mean to say, we have to say them the truth that this is something extraordinary, and we as a parent, we as a teacher also don't know, but we are always supporting you and we will keep supporting you. That is how we can develop the resiliency of the kids in the longer run without telling any lie. The first thing, don't tell lie. The second thing, you are the model, the teachers are the model, the parents are the model. And the third thing, kids are enormously creative and resilient, better than us. Believe me, better than us. Many times I give the example that you take a new gadget, a laptop or a mobile, which you can't handle, and give it to a kid. He'll be very frequently adjusted to it, and he'll be telling all the things which we don't know. So see the limitations. Our limitations are limited, but their creativity is unbounded. There is no limitations to their creativity, and accordingly, we have to, as a parent, as a teacher, or as a model for them, we have to think that they are unlimitedly creative, and we have to give them the right directions that we can. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, please come forward. Yeah, please tell.
Yes, sir. So I actually have two questions. My first question is that those children who are usually introvert, I can say when they are in class 3, 4, 5, they usually talk to very less number of friends in their own class. And by the time they reach class 7, 8, 9, 10 and further, their friend circle like it becomes much more lesser, and they have very few number of friends with them. And in this kind of COVID situation where everyone is quarantined at home, everyone is staying at home, so they are getting very less chance to interact with other people and their friends also. And if I say that type of child, they are not very social, like they do not have much social media accounts and they are not very much social with other people. So what kind of suggestion would you give for them, like how can they tackle up this situation, they can open up their thoughts, how can they come out from this introvert situation?
Perfectly all right. Perfectly all right. What you told that I'll just add to it that I was myself. I was one such kid who was introvert towards his entire schooling period or something like that. I was feeling afraid or shy, a lot of shyness also, a lot of fear also when I was talking with the others, even with my friends or teachers. I was one such kid. And but before that, I'll give you that answer. I'll ask the psychologist here to Namrata, if you are listening me, you are here. Yeah.
You can finish and then I'll add.
No, I don't want to give any opinion about that because that will be personal. I am not a expert of that subject. That will be my personal opinion. But that is why the question I can very much relate with myself. I was an introvert kid towards almost my entire schooling period. So how I have developed it, I know that that is my personal experience, but as a psychologist, what you want to reflect.
Okay. So I read the name Follow Me. Follow Me. Very beautiful question. I have a feeling कि यहाँ पे जितने भी students हैं उनमें से कोई extrovert होगा, कोई introvert होगा, कोई बीच में. So the first thing that you need to understand about being an introvert is that introverts don't need many people. They first of all they don't like to interact with a lot of people. They are very reserved. So the kind of personality an introverted person has is that he or she might have very few friends, but they are very dear to him. And there is a difference between being very reserved and being introvert. Introverted is a personality type, and reserved is just a small trait. So being reserved can be temporary also. कि आप अभी इस phase of life में है that you don't feel like interacting with anybody. But being an introvert consists of many traits, and one of them is that having very few friends and being happy with oneself. They don't like to socialize much. So I feel like quarantine situation is not something that has been very different from their regular life. I'm honestly just speaking theoretically. I'm sure sir will be able to give a personal experience about that. So if you feel that an introvert person has fewer friends, I strongly believe they have quality friends. They believe in quality over quantity, and being in touch with those gems, those people in your life, is the first and the foremost thing that you need to focus upon. Never leave their side. Always keep them close to your heart, because those are the people who will come to your rescue when you are feeling low, when you are feeling disturbed. Second thing that you can do is that I feel, and I've seen seen studies where I've seen that introverted people are more creative. That's because they are more in link with themselves. They don't need anybody from the outside world to entertain them, to impress them, to keep them busy. They have a lot of new skills that they can develop. So another thing that an introverted person in this quarantine period can do is learn new skills. They can come up with a lot of new activities. There are online sessions, webinars, trainings, even free ones and sessions on the internet where they can develop new kind of skills and just be in touch with themselves. So I think I could give you 2-3 of these suggestions, but the major one that I want to give is that be in touch with those who are closest to you, because I feel like they are the stars of your life. Sir, because I personally am an extrovert person, so I can't say by experience, and that's why I'm handing it over to you.
You have already touched upon all the important points, but let me tell you a few points I would like to add. See, being introvert is sometimes genealogical as well, but most of the times, and 90% of the times, it's society imbibed. Okay. And in my personal case, it was society's imbibed, because whenever I was being very frank, very vocal about the things which I was not understanding, then I was getting scolded by my parents, my teachers, or maybe I can't say that because all those childhood memories, but even I feel that whenever I am thinking I was doing something good, then society comes back to me, and society means everyone. Society came back to me like I was doing something wrong. So somewhere it restricted me to being introvert, don't to say my words to others. So uh, it's genealogical also, I accept that, and it's as well as it's most of the times it's by teachers, by parents, by peer group, by friends, by relatives. So if you want a child to grow perfectly, then just listen him. Just listen, and try to give them the right direction. Don't tell that you are doing wrong. It's not something. See, I have a lot of examples why I have become introverted. I was not born introvert, but with certain experiences into my growing phase, I became completely introvert. And after that, it took years for me, years. I can tell you, once the things are into mind, it's very, very, very difficult to get rid of it. And it took year for me. Again, I can speak what I think, what my heart accepts, what my mind is telling me to tell to others. So be careful with every children. Otherwise, everyone will not be getting the opportunity to come back into the life, and they will completely remain introverted throughout their life. And that's somewhere we are murdering the kids. It's not less than that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh,
Sir,
ma'am,
I
I have
have
a
a
question.
second question.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Sudeshna, again, I just want to make another question, I think, which is very relevant for all of us being teachers and parents. My question is, ma'am, please give us some piece of advice how to tackle with sex education in school, though it has not been spread yet. But children often we often face questions from children's side like this, like class 1 child answering that she is my girlfriend, he is my boyfriend, like this. And also when we are giving the books, some books may have some contents like the kissing scenes and all these things. I mean, phantom book, there was a cartoon sketch that and the group started, class 5 group started with all the hush and push, all these gossips, because there is the social taboo on this spreading sex educations on all these things still, because they don't get good answer from their parents. Teachers are not willing to speak up to explain them. So ma'am, please highlight this point, how to guide them in proper direction so that they don't take that in a negative sense.
Perfectly, perfect. That's a perfect question, and we all parents and teachers are dealing with today. So, Nurata, what's your feedback on
So this is a huge topic, huge topic. I have personally taken workshops on parenting where they have talked about how to introduce sex education to your children, and that particular session went on for 3 hours. So I'm not sure whether I'll be able to answer ma'am's question properly. So there are two components here primarily. First is the parents, the home environment, and the second is the school environment. And actually, there is a third hidden one as well. That is the peers, the friends. So the child is getting information in different ways from 3 different places. The parents are keeping it very hush hush. They don't want to talk about because they feel that उनका बच्चा हमेशा उनके लिए बच्चा ही रहेगा. ये चीजें तो सिर्फ शादी के बाद की बात करने वाली होती हैं, या अपने आप बड़ा होगा स्कूल में पता चल जाएगा, दोस्तों से बात करने से पता चल जाएगा. So first we need to change that mindset. I feel like I also mentioned in my PPT, if there is something that needs to be educated, the child needs to be educated about on a sensitive topic, it should primarily come from the parent. If it is coming from the parent, like I said, it is very easy for the parent to control what information to give to the child and what not. If the parents are not comfortable, it then moves on to the teacher. When the child is spending maximum time in their schools, they meet with their friends, they talk to their friends. A major part of their life becomes the school and the friends. So now it's the responsibility of the teachers to explain it to them. So like you said, हमारे schools में ऐसा होता है. मैं personally private school में पढ़ी हूँ, लेकिन मैंने पढ़ाया या मैं as a counselor सरकारी school में भी काम किया है. I will not mention the school. And you are completely right. क्लास 9th और 10th के बच्चों के साथ मैंने बात की है और मैंने उनका नजरिया देखा इस चीज के ऊपर. The way please mute yourself, प्रीति कुमारी सिंह. तो I have actually seen कि वो उसको कितना disgusted manner में ले जाते हैं, the extent उसको कितना dirty बना सकते हैं उस concept को. So I have seen that. But I have been, like I mentioned, in a private school. These things are talked about, but थोड़ा सा वो कह दो ना sophisticated manner में बात होती है. But this is a universal concept. Every child will react in a manner that you have seen in your school. But as teachers, आप क्या कर सकते हैं? You have to normalize this concept. जैसे हम digestive system की, this is that I learned in that workshop. The way we talk about the circulatory system, the nervous system, the digestive system, we need to talk about the reproductive system. It needs to be talked about in a way कि ये एक biological process है. So for teachers, I would recommend sit with your principals, sit with the people who make the curriculum, talk to the counselor. The counselor is the best person who is sensitive towards this. And every school of सरकार ने ये must कर दिया है that every school needs to have a counselor. So the counselor should have this particular topic in their entire curriculum, जहाँ पे वो हर क्लास को उसकी एज ग्रुप के हिसाब से इस कॉन्सेप्ट को इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं. And then finally comes the peers. Peers, if there are any students here, see, peers can be a very negative, have a very negative impact on your child because they can take them to, like I mentioned, वो उनको videos दिखा सकते हैं स्कूल में, phones लगा के. Phone is available easily. It's very easy to, just आप क्लिक करो Google पे. बीच में मोदी जी ने अपने जियो वाले नेट के ऊपर वो कंट्रोल कर लिया था. And different kinds of, internet के ऊपर they had control that you cannot open a website, a phone website on your data pack. But अब वो चीज वापस से हट गई है because मैंने ये चीजें देखी है. So again, if the peers are educated in a manner, तो अगर कल को वो देखेंगे, you cannot stop them. Even if they are watching those things, they should know that this is something very natural and they should not be taking it in the wrong manner. I'm थोड़ा सा मैं टॉपिक से हट जा रही हूँ, बस 2 मिनट और दूंगी. आप रेप केसेस देखते हैं. I have seen many documentaries of serial killers and like Ted Bundy was one of them, one of the biggest serial killers. अगर आप जाके देखेंगे उन्हें, and he talked about porn videos being a huge impact on an individual in becoming a serial killer, a rapist. और because उन लोगों को बचपन से एक तो वो इतने disturbed environment से आते हैं, इतनी बहुत सारी चीजें compile हो जाती हैं, and when they watch the porn videos, they feel like वो किसी लड़की के ऊपर अपना रौब जमा सकते हैं. तो ये बहुत ही, like I said, बहुत ही deep topic है. इसमें बहुत different kind of perspectives आ सकते हैं. बट मैं बस ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि अगर एक बच्चे को सही डायरेक्शन में एजुकेट किया जाए तो उसके लिए वो कॉन्सेप्ट समझना सही डायरेक्शन में थोड़ा सा आसान हो जाएगा और वो सिर्फ हमारी सोसाइटी कर सकती है. सर
Thank you, Namrata. Thanks a lot.
Hello, ma'am. So
Right
can I
now,
add a question?
Just wait.
या प्रीति जी बस 1 मिनट सर अपनी बात पूरी कर लें, उसके बाद you can ask.
I'm getting a lot of requests from the organizers that the session is too long now and we should stop. And meanwhile, I would like to tell all of you people, please interact with us in the WhatsApp group, what has been created, because we can't hold everyone here and it's not, we all have other works to do as well. Other commitments are there. So we can see that 190 participants now, 107 participants here. So please keep posting your questions in the WhatsApp group. We will answer that. And to whom you are asking the question, please refer. It's me, it's Namrata Sharma, or it's Dr. Baluai, or it's your organizers like Pankaj, Dr. Pankaj, or whoever it is. Just write the name of the person to whom you are asking the question and we'll answer that. We'll continue with that. Thank you very much. Let's stop it today here because we are almost 1 hour beyond that our mandate.
So we will be on the WhatsApp group and we'll answer your questions later.
So thank you, Namrata. Thank you, sir. Back to Meghaji.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. We will be meeting tomorrow with our third session. So I think we would end it here. Thank you for such a wonderful session, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Pradeepta, we can end it. Yes. Pankaj da?